Podcast, TruthSeekah's podcast. Buckle up, everyone. We're going to talk aliens, UFOs, ghosts, spiritual and paranormal. From all of the three moons, beyond your wildest dreams. Nice.
TruthSeekah and or its affiliates are not responsible for any strange phenomena that may occur during or after listening to this podcast, which may include the following: heightened senses of awareness, psychic abilities, UFO sightings, alien contact, time loss, out-of-body experiences, ringing in the ears, ESP, lucid dreaming, increased synchronicities, astral projection, telepathy, stronger intuition, levitation, miraculous healings, and or remote viewing. Please be advised to listen at your own discretion.
Won't you come and take me away? I just wanna be with you. Won't you come and take me away? To a place to walk on troubled seas, faith to stand when I don't believe. I just wanna be with you. Won't you come and take me away? I just wanna be with you. Won't you come?
You are now locked into the TruthSeekah Podcast.
Gargoyles! Psychics! Everything's ungodly! Dark Savage!
Streaming live at TruthSeekah.com.
She's not a Christian!
Give it up, y'all.
Your portal to the paranormal, esoteric, and all things spiritual.
She's tampering in dark Savage stuff!
And now, your host, TruthSeekah.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? I'm your host, TruthSeekah. This is the TruthSeekah Podcast. And as always, we cover all things spiritual. We have a conversation. It's organic. Nothing's planned. And you guys get to sit in on it. And you guys get to ask questions. You guys get to comment. All that stuff. I'm reading the chat. It's up here the whole time while we're going. I look at it the majority of the time. I'm usually watching it, reading your messages. If you have any questions or comments, make sure you send them over. I'll translate them over to you guys, for you guys. I want to say a huge thank you to everybody who is partnering with my work via Patreon. This is a listener-supported, funded show, and you guys believing in my work helped me to bring this to the table. It doesn't exist without you. You guys are co-creators, co-laborers with me in this endeavor. Thank you for believing in everything that I'm doing, bringing to the table through the podcast, the music, the meditations, all of that kind of stuff. It doesn't exist without your help. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. Some of the latest patrons within the last week or so, I'm gonna give a shout out to Susan Hammersley. Thank you, Susan. Seen you in chat a while ago. You're awesome. Shout out to Argathan Hermit, Christopher Horton, Adam Kostick, and Larry Housel. You guys are enablers. Thank you for supporting the work, and welcome to the community. Welcome to the tribe. Thursday night School of the Mystics. If you're a supporter, you get access to that. That's tonight, 7 p.m. Every Thursday. Is the community aspect to what we're building here. There's people out there just like you, man. I know you're weird. I know you're far out. I know you're out there, but there's people out there just like you. You should connect with them. They like the things that you like. They're asking the same questions. They're getting answers. Make sure you tap in, tune in with them. Thursday nights, School of the Mystics. You get access to that. My new book, Spirit Realm, Angels, Demons, Spirits, and the Sovereignty of God, forward by the great Jordan Maximus, or Jordanus Maximus, as some would call him. Did the foreword for me. Huge honor to have that brother on, supporting the work and endorsing the book. Make sure you get a copy at TruthSeekah.com. A lot of hard work went into this, and thank you guys for all the support. Without further ado, we're jumping into today's discussion. My friend and yours, Pleiiades. Brother, welcome to the podcast, man. How are you?
I'm quite well, brother. Greetings. I'm so glad to be on here. It's like just such an honor to be in front of so many beautiful souls tuning in to these podcasts, really just trying to seek the truth You know what I'm saying? Because that's what all of us are really here for, is to kind of express the truth of the universe through our own unique expressions, through our own vessel and stuff like that. So I'm just grateful to be here, man.
Yeah, man. I think the first time we connected, I was going live on Instagram, which I usually don't do a lot.
Yeah.
And then there was a message that said, hey, bring me into the video. And I clicked OK, and you jumped into the live stream, and we had a good talk. And it was before a podcast. And I was like, hey, this brother knows his stuff, man. So I wanted to build with you, and had a track with the open verse on it, and sent it over to you. You knocked it out, and we kind of been building on Instagram since then, man. And so you sent me a song, and I got to get on it. And you said it's featuring yourself. You're a spiritual hip-hop artist, and yourself, me, Illuminati Congo. Was there another one, or was it just us?
Yeah, Cruz is going to be on it as well. I already got my verse done, the hook done. Illuminati Congo sent his verse. And when I reached out to you and Cruz about it, you were in Denver and Cruz was in like Orlando or something. So y'all were both traveling. So like it was a bad time, but I'm just waiting on you guys. And then like, yeah, it's going to be done soon. But yeah, that podcast, that live stream, it was about, you were talking about the moon or whatever, like the moon conspiracies. And I was like, oh man, I got to jump on this.
I remember
like,
that.
The amount of, yeah, she was great, man. It normally be happening like that, like not planned. Like that's how that stuff really be. Just like in the moment, I'm like, yo, this dude's live right now. Like I don't be watching live streams like that, to be honest. But I saw that you were live, and then I was like, word, yo,
Me neither.
I know so much about this. Yeah, man. But it's definitely an honor to build with you, bro, for sure. I've been noticing like what you've been doing, like how you've been really like taking all this passion that you have for the truth and turning it into so many different ways of expression that are providing so many different benefits and value to people's lives. And I've been, I checked out your Patreon, checked out your website, all that stuff. Like you're very much in alignment with source, and it's very apparent. It's inspiring to see it, man. In the same way that we may inspire others to, go on this path and stuff like that, they can then go on to inspire others, and it's a domino effect. So that's why podcasts like this could be so essential, because you're really not only just spreading the information, you're spreading the inspiration. You're giving people the energy, the love, the passion, the consistency, all that stuff that really like fuels them,
Yeah, that's why I do it, and I'm paying it forward, and paying homage to the people who inspired me. You can hear it in my work, you can hear it in my music, and we're changing the world. You know what I'm saying? One soul at a time, and we change ourselves and the people around us, and if it catches on, you know what I'm saying? Even in subtle ways, bro, just to choose love over hate, you know what I'm saying? To take care of yourself, take care of your family, and your, you know what I'm saying, your health, your mental stability, your spiritual life, all of it. It catches on, and it's really interesting to like see the fruit of that labor. You know what I'm saying? Of being able to see how you've inspired somebody. For me, it gets bigger and bigger, right? Just as the platform increases and people are listening and they're making the right choices, and I get to hear it. A lot of times they send me messages and that kind of stuff. But just as a collective of seeing like, yeah, man, I know that I'm inspiring these people. And even for you, man, I'm like, you know what, like seeing you step out with your music, you know what I'm saying, doing the spiritual hip hop, and I've been doing it for a long time, and see you kind of, I feel like I'm passing the torch, man. You know what I'm saying? And I'm still doing some stuff, and that's why I haven't sent you the verse already. It's been like I haven't been as inspired with music, but I really do feel like and feel like I'm passing the torch on to like a new generation of people. And I'm sure Illuminati Congo feels the same way, inspiring people, and there's all types of people coming up under us who are going to take the torch and do greater and better things and reach more people. And I want to be a part of that. So I'm going to do the verse for you. I'm going to hope I might even do it today. So let's see, because we talked about Illuminati Congo getting on the track, and that dude, like I've sent him songs and he sent me these magical verses the next day or the same day.
Yo, and, I sent him this verse. I was like, let me know how you resonate with it. I'm telling you, I went for a walk. Like I sent it to him, and then I left my phone charged and I went for a walk. I came back from the walk. He sent me all the stems. He sent me the full recording. Like I'm talking no longer than like an hour and a half.
Dang,
later.
He don't play with it.
He don't play no games, yo. He really in this shit. Like I really respect and honor that shit. It's that consistency that got him to where he's at.
Yeah.
That, just getting it done. You know what I'm saying? I honor that shit. And like, when you start to like, you know, you talking about how you feel less resonated towards the music right now because you've done so much of it. Now you're starting to do those other endeavors. Like, I definitely feel like that's a big thing to talk about for sure, is about like really picking one or two few avenues to invest your energy into, investing your energy into that until you get some energy back, and then start to build up this cycle. Then you get like, I bet you for you, like if you were to decide, yo, I'm gonna sit down and write this verse, because you've invested so much hours and energy into like the process of creating music, it's like nearly effortless for you when you're in that flow state. So it's like,
there's two sides of it. There is the effortless state when you're in the flow state, but then there's the other side that I beat myself up over, being like like wanting to put something new in it and not just wanting to rap about kundalini and chakras and opening up the third eye. Like I want to like how many times can you, and I've talked about it on here, like I beat myself up because like I don't want to regurgitate and just repeat. I could easily throw you a mystical verse, but I don't want to. Like I want it to be something that like that I haven't done before, that I can stand behind, that I know I gave you a piece of me, that it's revelation, it's something new and something fresh. I don't want to just like, you know, like every song that I've done, there's an integrity there. You know, there's something different that like I can listen to it and it just blows my mind, and like it almost feels channeled from a place of like, man, was that even me? Just because the knowledge and stuff that comes through. So I feel like I set the bar really high for myself, and everything has to be up to that, and it's a lot of work. Like I beat myself up over it, and it takes a long time usually to write a verse, and it's work. It's work, but you know, anything worth doing is worth doing right. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I don't just sit there and I can easily throw songs out, but I'm protecting it. Like I protect it. Like I don't want to do that. I've done it, especially when I first started rapping. Like we were knocking out songs every day. There was no substance in it. There might have been some gems here and there, but it's like, it only takes one song, bro. You know what I'm saying? And then
exactly,
when you have
when you're really creating in a heart, when you're creating in that heart space, it's just not like you said, like it feels like, was that really me? Yo, I feel like, especially with this album I've been working on recently, that'll be dropping like before May, Tunes for Ascension, like a lot of that shit has been channeled. You know what I'm saying? Like definitely like the whole writing process. I feel like when you allow yourself to get into an inspired state, you flow from your heart space, and then what comes out is an authentic expression of yourself. Like you said, you want it to be like a piece of you in that music. Sure. I relate to that tremendously, yo. Like you want to really put your heart into it, and then what naturally happens is an authentic expression of that, a reflection of how you feel. So like whether it is a positive emotion, a negative emotion, whatever, just expressing how you feel authentically is what's going to really touch people. Like you said, it only takes one song. You could pour your whole heart out into one song, and then someone could just like bump that song and they could really resonate with that frequency, rather than if you're just putting out a bunch of music that's like okay, and like, you know, you're talented, so like you can make music that's like better than most of the shit out there already, but there's no heart substance to it. It's not just the lyricism I'm learning, it's not just the words, you know, those are all obviously factors, but it's the energy behind the words that really makes the song, or even beyond music, whatever it is you're making. You know what I'm saying? Like putting that pure intention into anything and being authentic and showing up within a true authentic state, that's what's going to really affect people. And that's how people could really resonate with literally whatever it is that you create. That's how you could do all these different podcasts, book, music, all this stuff, and people resonate with it, because no matter what you're doing, you might step into a new avenue where you're not necessarily that experienced. I'm sure when you started doing podcasting, you're like, I'm not experienced in podcasting, but you came authentically and people felt that. And that's what I feel like people could really apply to whatever it is that they create.
Yeah, man. 100%. And that's in the integrity. And I think a bigger piece of it is it could be the money side. It could be the finances side. It could be the reach side. I think a little bit of that comes into play, especially with like, cause when I first started coming out with the spiritual esoteric stuff, like I dominated YouTube. Like searching, like you can look up David Icke videos and then my songs would come up. You know what I'm saying? Like that's how like the algorithms were. And you know, a lot of people caught on, but now like you can even type in the name of my song and it won't even come up on YouTube. Like, or the topic will come up of like a picture of the album cover with the song, and sometimes that comes up, but the music video that we spent hundreds of dollars making, time and energy, you can't find it. Even if you type it in Google, they throttle it, and it's like, it's so discouraging, man, to pump out and put all of that work and that energy into the music, and then people can't even find it, even when they're looking for it by name. It's like, damn, like, I don't even know if I want to make a music video if nobody's going to be able to see it. That's the thing. It's like because I can stand behind my whole catalog right now, at least from like 2012 to where I'm at, the spiritual esoteric stuff. And so the problem we have as artists, and especially fighting the algorithms, is trying to find like ways for people to hear our music. And obviously the podcast, and I mean, there's a lot of different ways people find it, but man, YouTube used to be like the biggest way. So it's like, it's kind of it's discouraging to, like, you know what I'm saying, financially drop $400 on a video, whatever, and then nobody gets to see it. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, man. So that's where we're at now, because music's changing. You're a little bit younger than me. You've got you're working Instagram. That seems to be your big thing. Where are you seeing the most results from? Because I need to figure it out too. Like I need to still get my work out there. So it's like there's a part of me, it's a disconnect, because I don't want to keep creating new stuff if nobody's even seen my old stuff, which is mind-blowing, change your life. Nobody's getting to see that. So why create new stuff? That's my own dilemma that I deal with. It's discouraging. But how are you seeing results?
That completely, that's very valid, and that all makes perfect sense. But like, you know, first off, to even begin talking about that, I would say like my personal philosophy has been because, you know, when I started, even to this day, you know, I'm definitely, because I have been being consistent on social media and other platforms and stuff like that, I have been accumulating more of a following. But even still to this day, especially in comparison to a lot of other artists, like I don't be getting the reciprocation of people watching it that I feel like that could truly benefit from it. But where my mentality has been within that whole process, and where I feel like the rest of it in terms of how to market yourself correctly and really get that fan base, where I feel like that's secondary to first, being like, regardless of how many people watch my videos or receive it right now, what I'm creating is timeless. Yeah. Like this music video, this song, this podcast, this book, whatever. Yeah. It might take a day. It might take a year. It might take 10 years. It might take 100 years. This is timeless shit that I'm putting into the universe. So like realizing that you might not get that instant gratification, shit, it might not even happen within your lifetime, but we're creating something that's beyond us.
For sure.
We're channeling things from source energy and condensing it into a coherent vibration that people can receive benefits from. There's never going to be a time or place, I don't care how much humanity evolves, that they can't resonate with that. If anything, the more humanity evolves, they will resonate with our content more, because of there will be less distortions. And that's why there's so few people in comparison to the entire planetary population tuning into these creations from source, because of the distortions, you know, the mental programming, all that stuff. How, you know, that's really taken over a lot of the world. If anything, as the world keeps on growing, evolving, becoming less distorted, detoxifying on a planetary level, our creations, which are timeless and eternal, are going to rise more and more to benefit more and more people. So from the start, man, like I've always had that mentality of like, I'm quite likely not going to get the gratification instantly that I expect, or that my ego would like for this, but like really like having that authenticity of, you know, I'm creating something timeless and it's going to live beyond me and it's always going to benefit. Mind you, there's a balance within there. Like you said, if you're spending $400 on a video and you're not, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and you make
you got to balance.
And you don't make the money back. Like you're spending your bill money. Like there's some principles, and there's money in music, right? Obviously, it's changing. The money is definitely changing, and like you have to do shows, and I mean, there's so much that kind of comes in with it. But yeah, you don't want to like keep spending more than you're making, because it doesn't add up. And I tell you what's interesting is on a financial front, like some of the I've kind of taken it to a new level with the guided meditations. Like they're not just me talking with some music and hey, close your eyes. There's some of that, but I've been able to go in and have sound effects and you know how we would do a feature, you get somebody else? Well, I do features with voice actors. Hey, I need you to play an angel. Here's the script. Read this for me with a British accent and let me edit it. Okay, so as I'm like taking you on this guided meditation, like, okay, there's wind that's coming. And okay, I want the sound of like what did ancient Jerusalem sound like if you're walking through a crowd of people? Okay, there's people buying and selling, there's chatter. I'm like putting sound effects and foot walking noises and I'm creating this new thing. So there's still that level of creativity there with a new thing with these guided meditations that are like interactive and fully immersive. But on a financial front, I'm just going to be straight up and honest. If you buy one of my songs off of iTunes, it's 99 cents. You know what I'm saying? If you buy an album, it's $10, whatever. And that takes like 6 to 8 months for me to record an album. And it's a lot of work, and I got to pay for beats and licensing and it's a lot of work that goes into that. There's a lot of work that goes into the guided meditations, but I charge like $10 for one guided meditation. You know what I'm saying? So for something that may take me 2 or 3 days to really give myself over to we say that Illuminati Congo is sending magic in an hour. You know what I'm saying? So it don't take him no 6 to 8 months to work on an album. But for me, and at least with this level and the financial stuff, like it's a lot of work, because I don't want to regurgitate stuff I've already done. I want it to be new. I don't want to just because I can put out a song about opening the third eye. I've already done that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, to that I would say, honestly, yo, like what has governed a lot of my personal album, because I've made like 5, I'm going on 6 albums now, and like most of them are underground, not even released, honestly. But like I would say like not to rush the process. And you know, Abraham Hicks, I know you know her, talks about this shit all the time. She's like really waiting for inspired action. So I would say in terms of like, you know, the album creation, like every single one of my albums have been from something that I was experiencing in my life. Like my first album was Productive Procrastination. That's when I was, you know, it's literally me bouncing the contacts, productivity and procrastination, ego and soul, mind, and like, you know, I was like basically bouncing that. That's what I was going through. I put in music. My next album, Esoteric Expressions of Derek, all emotional shit. Totally, a lot of it was ridiculously
What's that?
negative.
Your name?
Spiritual. Yeah.
What's
yeah, yo, I was gonna bring that up.
I didn't even know that.
The same and everything. Your name is Derek. My name's Derek. Yo.
I didn't even know that. And we got dreads. And we're spiritual rappers. I'm passing the torch, buddy.
Yeah, bro. And we both wearing glasses right now. I don't even be wearing these things very often. Just giving my eyes a rate.
I didn't even know that, man. When's your birthday?
Yeah, May 9th, 2000.
May. Okay. I'm a Capricorn, January, so.
Word.
That's what's up.
Yeah, but yeah, definitely just creating an album when you feel called to, when you go through like a shift in your life. I feel like, me personally, a natural process is to express it musically, or creatively in some way. But music is definitely like some type of method like that. So I feel like rather than sitting down and being like, all right, gotta make an album. What am I gonna make an album about? You know what I'm saying? Waiting for you to be taking a shit one day and then boom, damn, I need to make an album about this.
That's
like,
how it happens.
Some random,
No, but see, I think because that's where I live with that. I can honor it. I can honor the creative expression, because I'm now in a place where I'm doing this full time. So like if I don't, there's people who support me based off of my music. They only know what I'm doing on my Patreon and buy albums and that kind of stuff. So if there's no more music, then, you know, there's that fear there. Then there's no income and there's no money or whatever the case is. So I don't want it to be contingent upon the money. Money is definitely a factor, right? When you're creating and stuff like that. But honoring it is like, because you hear this conversation being open and honest, whatever music you hear from me from this point out, it's created from a pure place. That's how much I respect it. You know what I'm saying? And I have a respect for it. And I listen to people. I think I need to be okay with repeating myself. You know, I don't think that the message has even changed over the years. I think it's one message just articulated in different rhyming schemes and things like that. But using the same words and stuff, it's like how many times can you, you know, I always made fun of like Christian rappers, because all Christian rappers had songs where we talked about Jesus Christ is the boss. He paid the cost on the cross. He died for the lost. Like every Christian rapper has a song with those rhyming words about Jesus on the cross. He's the boss. He's the, you know, and it's so funny. It's like, I don't want that to like, you know, I don't want to keep repeating myself or rhyming for the sake of rhyming. You know, even but then I listen to some of the greats like Tech Nine and stuff like that, and listen to some of the stuff he's saying. I'm like, man, he ain't even saying nothing. I want to say something though. Like, I don't want just some bar that says like, Tech Nine's got some, and Jesus is really good. I mean, geez, I'm reading the chat, and Tech Nine is really good at what he does, but he has verses where he's like, open up the chakras because I'm partners with Waka Flocka, and it just rhymes. It's like, the hell did you throw?
Oh yeah, for
why
sure.
the hell did you throw Waka Flocka in there?
A lot of his rhyme flows. He's really just like rhyming for the sake of rhyme. That's literally his name, Tech Nine, the complete technique of rhyme. And like, I feel you completely though. Like, I definitely like, I'm trying to take what he does, that chopping level, and have substance within it.
Same.
For sure. Yeah.
And it's hard.
But like, you know, it also, it does. But like, you know, to go back, Abraham Hicks, for all the time that she's been doing her thing, she really be saying the same thing. She be saying the same thing. And then she has different people ask her questions and she answers it differently. She puts it in different ways. She articulates it differently, expresses it differently. And that's really like, you know, it ain't easy. It ain't easy. It's especially as you know, someone like yourself.
It ain't supposed to be, because if it was easy, then there'd be a ton of Tech Nines. There would be, you know, it's a level that you have to get to. You have to practice. There would be Michael Jordans everywhere. There's not. There's somebody who wakes up every morning, works at their craft, what they love to do, what they want to create, what they want to manifest, and you get better at it though. It becomes your craft. Illuminati Congo, knock it out in an hour. I'm pretty sure he didn't start like that. Especially the stuff. Always shout out my brother, man. Like, his verses are, you know, beyond, like, they're just timeless, dude. And he'll send it back in an hour. You know what I'm saying? And I think he's a great example of somebody. I don't know if I'd say master, but he understands manifestation and manifesting a song. And an album starts with one song. You know what I'm saying? A podcast starts with one guest or going live. And now I'm almost at 300. I've been almost at 300 for a long time, but I'm almost at 300 episodes, and I can just scroll down the list and scroll and all of the artwork. I did all the artwork for everyone. Like, it takes me anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour to do the artwork. You know, I'm really meticulous with that. It's part of my creativity, you know, writing the bios for a lot of the older episodes. But now you have a catalog of something that you worked hard on, right? And trust me, if everybody can do it, they would. Consistency is key with whatever you're trying to build, whether it's the album, whether it's the podcast, or writing a book. Like, that was hard, you know what I'm saying? But it's consistent. Like, I'm waking up at 4:30 every morning, and we'll stargaze for 10 minutes, drink me some coffee, and write. Whatever comes out, just write it, 4:30 in the morning. Consistency. If you don't get up, if you don't do it, then it's not going to get done. Nobody's going to do it for you. But the understanding work ethic too, bro, and creating stuff.
Absolutely. It's a matter of really cultivating discipline. And that's really a big chapter where I'm at in my life personally, especially as this year transitioned. I've been getting a lot of guidance to really apply discipline. Like right now, as we speak, I'm on a 3-day liquid fast, and that shit is definitely an embodiment of that. I'm over here, I still work a part-time job at a vegan burger shop. I was at my job yesterday, you know, surrounded by vegan burgers and stuff. It was hella slow. I was like, yo, I'm trying to rip one of these apart right now. But I was like, you know, breathing through the sensations, breathing through the desires and stuff like that. And really like being like, do I want to walk the path of instant gratification or delayed gratification? Do I want to walk the path of ego and body, or do I want to walk the path of soul? Does my soul want this burger? You know, and taking that aspect into everything you do. You know, you waking up at 4:30 in the morning, you're like, you know, your body, you probably wake up, you're like, oh man, I'm really about to do this. You're like, hell yeah, I'm about to do this. Like, this is what my soul wants to do, you know, and really like making that it's a conscious decision. And then when you make the conscious mentality shift and you dedicate yourself like emotionally to it, is when the actions start to flow. At first, it's going to be a resistance. But then, you know, when you start running, it's going to be a bit of a resistance. But then when you start to pick up speed, you build up momentum. And then in the direction of that mentality and alignment with your soul, you're going to build momentum. And the actions are going to get easier and easier throughout time if you stay consistent with it. I say it all the time. It's not just a matter of planting seeds. It's a matter of planting seeds that you can keep watered. If you don't keep your seeds watered, they ain't gonna grow to be harvestable. So you gotta really, and that's where it comes down to starting a solid foundation. Like rather than going and doing 50,000 things at once in alignment with your soul that you know that you could be doing or that you should be doing, really being honest, authentic, and patient and gentle with yourself, and being like, let me just start with one thing. Let me just, you know, if you're writing a book, let me write 1 page a day. Let me just dedicate myself to one. Yeah, yo, you know, exactly.
A letter.
It starts with something because it's not the direction of the step. It's not the size of the step. It's the direction of it. It don't matter how big the step is. It matters the direction of where you're going toward. So and it don't matter about the destination. We all know this. It don't matter about the destination. It matters about the journey. So really like embodying the moment to moment process in alignment with that which you're cultivating. That's where the growth happens. That's where the expansion is at. And that's where the, you know, development happens, is in alignment with that path that you're taking. It's not a dick measuring contest about who could do more, who accomplished more, who reached the destination quicker. The destinations are just creations of the mind, you know, just embodying like, I did this today. I did this today. I did this today. How does it make you feel? You know, rather than getting more done.
But what about that feeling once you complete it? Like once, dude, like I'm big on that. Like, especially, you know, I'm a Bible man. I gratitude back to the Creator. You know what I'm saying? Like we're made in the likeness and the image of a Creator. And then when we create something, anything, there's a gratification. There's like, look at what I accomplished. Allow me to share it with you. And I really feel like God like feels that way about his creation, the mountains. You know, I just went to Denver. Hey, look what I made, bro. I'm so glad you came to see it. You know what I'm saying? Like showing it off, like, cause it's hard work. Like the book, an album, a meditation, like it's not easy. But once you accomplish it, once it's manifested into this reality, at one point it didn't exist. This conversation, this podcast, that's going to be a stamp in time. It didn't exist until we did it. Now people are, you know, learning from it. People are feeling equipped and, you know what I'm saying, encouraged, and we're hearing your story and turning new people. It wouldn't happen until we did it. But, and the reason I always focus on this, obviously because it's something that I deal with, or I've dealt with being consistent, because as creatives, we have our minds, we're getting all kind of ideas. Let me start a podcast. Let me start a band. Oh, this group wants me to be their lead singer. Let me write a book. Let me do this. Trust me, you know, I got my hands in a lot of stuff, and it continually comes, and you'll find yourself starting a whole bunch of things, but never executing, being consistent, or finishing any of it. I've got a bunch of friends. A perfect example is when they join MLMs. You know, it's a multi-level marketing, and they get started and they say they're going to start selling CBD oil, and they sell CBD oil for 2 weeks. It didn't work out. So they sell essential oils. They did essential oils for 3 months. Didn't work out. Now they're selling timeshares, and they get residuals. None of it works out because they didn't stay consistent. any of those things would have worked out as long as they would have kept showing up and kept working it. There would have been a CBD king and had all kind of people started under them. But they keep having all these ideas and all these opportunities present themselves to them that they're not committed to anything. And as creatives, we all struggle with that because there's the band. Trust me, I want to do it all, man. You know what I'm saying? But I have to commit myself to, okay, this is my project. This is my baby. This is getting my time today. And I'm so big on it because I still struggle with it. And I have to keep reminding myself to like make something happen. I get to a place where it's crippling. Like I got so much stuff to do that I do nothing. And that ain't good. Just because I'm scared, like it's overwhelming, like, damn, I got to do all this stuff. And then it puts me in a place where I don't feel like doing nothing versus knocking one thing out at a time. I'll take on like projects doing like graphic art and building websites and stuff. And I have all these things to do it. I've already gotten paid. And I was like, damn, now I got to do all the work. So I got to hunker down and do this stuff and knock it out. And I get overwhelmed. I mean, we all do. I'm just being... with the verse, I got to knock out your verse. I got to knock out this website. I got to write another book. I got to blah, blah. And you got all these things and it cripples you versus, look, let me just be consistent with this thing until it becomes this thing, until I can touch it, until it's done, you know. And it's big, man, of learning how to do it. Some people master it. Some people never get it done. And they got something new every week and they never capitalize. They never finish anything. They're just... They just don't finish, man, you know, and they got great ideas, but they can't execute. Yeah.
So I feel like, I relate to that tremendously. And I feel like everyone listening who's creating, honestly, can relate to that tremendously. Sure. Having all these different ideas, wanting to do it all, having your hands in so many different places that you end up doing nothing, you know, having so much to do that you end up doing nothing. That's like the story of a lot of creators' lives. Yeah. And like, yeah, very much so. And I feel like, what has helped me cultivate, you know what I'm saying, going through that, you know, everyone has our days and stuff like that. But I feel like really taking a breath, step back from like when you feel that feeling and being like, what feels the best to do right now? Rather than like, what should I do? What needs to get done? What did I already get paid for that needs to get done? Being like, you know, really honoring the process. And, you know, if one thing in this whole conversation topic has really taught me in my life is really cultivating patience, man. And anyone that you work with would have to honor that as well. Like being like, I can't, sometimes I could dish something out instantly. Other times it might take me a month. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm not, like you said, you're trying to create something that you could stand behind, that you can truly be proud of. And sometimes to do that, I mean, all the time to do that, you can't force it. Sometimes you just flow right into it. Other times, man, maybe it feels better to go take a walk than it does to get that graphic design done or get that verse done or get whatever. And you got to really like not just do it. What I've learned is really allowing yourself to engage in that action without self-criticism, without doing it and being like, I really should be getting that shit done right now. Because it's so easy to be self-hating like that, you know, like wanting to be productive, wanting to get it done, knowing you have so much to get done, knowing you got time limits, all that stuff. When you get to an emotional, vibrational state where you can do something that seems like procrastination, but is really just rejuvenation, and actually like give yourself that time to rest. Sometimes you'll want to rest for a week at a time. And other times you might only need a rest for a day out of that week. You know, we're all going through transformations on a spiritual, energetic DNA level that is beyond what we can account for physically a lot of the time. So that's another thing I feel like a lot of people don't take into account, you know, all these astrological celestial alignments, all these different things happening on a global planetary level. We're all going through a metamorphosis within our deeper being that affects how we show up physically. And being able to silence your distortions of this physical, your identity with the physical, to be able to tune into how you're actually fucking feeling about like, I'm not feeling good about doing this right now. I need a rest. I need a little bit to rest. And then when you rest, you give yourself that time to unwind. You give yourself that time to energize. You can show up fully to whatever creative endeavors you have planned. Sometimes, you might be like, yo, I can't be able to justify taking a whole week of doing nothing pretty much in terms of a productive level.
Yeah.
But like I said, sometimes that's really what your vessel needs, because we are going through so many different things. From an average day, you're like, I'm getting 8 hours of sleep. I'm not even doing much. I'm just sitting around in the crib. I'm getting lots of breath. Why am I not wanting to show up? Why am I not having this energy? Like I said, there's so many different other levels that our consciousness is integrating every day. The world has never been more intense, positively and negatively, than it is today. And it's only getting more intense at an ever increasing, expansing, an acceleratedly exponential rate. It's an exponent that we're growing in intensity. So there's so much shit going on with all of us on an energetic level and a mental level and emotional level that most people don't really give themselves the credit for. And being like, I might not feel like showing up in this avenue right now, but I'm transforming. My DNA is activating. Every one of us on earth is going through transformation. So sometimes from a physical perspective, you might not be able to really understand why you don't have that energy, but you got to have the sensitivity to your own body, mind, and soul within you to have the wisdom to be like, I'm not going to act when it's not inspired. I don't care how long it takes. I don't care about all these physical, mental details about it. I got to know when it's aligned, when it's inspired to act in alignment with that. And that's when you're truly going to create things that you can stand behind without even having a lot of the distortions of the back and forth mental criticism while you're doing it. You're just going to effortlessly be like, I've had my rest. You just show up fully.
Yeah.
Sometimes I've had days where I get off, I'll work 5 days in a row and then I'll have those 2 days off or whatever, even 3 days off. And I'll be like, I'm going to freaking cram it all in those 3 days. I'm going to go ham. I'm going to get all this shit done. I'm going to wake up at 3 a.m. I'm going to do my sadhana. I'm going to do all this shit. And then the day comes, sometimes I'll get it done. Sometimes I'll do a little bit more or less than other days. And other days, I'll literally just feel like fucking sleeping. I'll feel like walking around, going to the nature near me, going talking to a friend, something like that, something completely away from the productive endeavors that I have planned. And, there's been times where I beat myself up over it. Obviously, we all do. And then there's other times where I'm like, this is what I needed. I felt like I had all the rest. I felt like I was ready to show up fully, but apparently I'm not, and it really takes that mindful minute of just tuning in to yourself, taking a quick breath. You don't even got to go into a whole freaking lotus meditation posture and get a whole session going. That definitely does help. Don't get me wrong. I love doing those, but especially for the person doing a lot and someone who may not necessarily even be in the habit of meditating very much, it just really takes that when you're noticing that feeling that's unpleasurable in a lot, in terms of what you're creating, taking just one simple mindful breath and just taking yourself outside of your emotions and then acting in alignment with how you feel you should act. Do I feel like I need a nap right now? Do I feel like I want to go get some food? Do I feel like I am just having some type of mental blockage that I can overcome by tuning into myself, and then I can show up fully in this creative endeavor? And really just detaching yourself from the emotional distraughtness and all the mental beating yourself up. It's very characteristic of all creators to really be self-criticizing, especially people like perfectionist mindsets and stuff. And that's why I feel like those people especially, it's very essential to know when it's time to rest and when it's time to work. And don't base those categories based off of physical phenomenon solely. Understand how you feel in each moment. You can't always account. You can't plan micromanage your whole week, your whole month all the time. You can set blueprints, like general outlines, and then see how you feel along the way. And if you don't make every deadline at the exact moment that you want to, it's very characteristic to beat yourself up over it. So that's why it's important to loosely have everything that you want to get done, and put timelines too if you want, but be unattached to it. If a day comes where you're like, yo, I'm supposed to do this today, but I honestly feel so drained that I would much rather rest, allowing yourself to rest guilt-free is the best thing that you can do to create that thing. Like, quite frankly, rather than showing up and just dishing it out, getting the work done, and then energetically after creating it, you feel like you recall the state of being you were in while creating it. Like, yeah, other people say it sounds good, but when you feel it, when you listen to it, you're like, yeah, I kind of just forced this shit, man. Like, it's like, it's
you know what? It'd be like that sometimes though. Like, one of the, I put out the Colors album, and there was like one last song that I put everything into the album. The last song had to be written, and it was like, man, I'm just not feeling much. And so I went ahead and did it. Like, it's cool, and there was some inspiration there, but for me, it's like it's like the worst track on the album, and some people like, man, this is my favorite song you did, man. I love that song, bro. That song gets me every time. I'm like, man, that song barely made it, dude. I don't know where that song came from. So maybe that's a channeled, verse or song from Spirit, because it wasn't from me. You know what I'm saying?
I feel that tremendously. There's been many times where I'd be posting a video, like on the Instagram or whatever, like I'll record a video and I'm like, yo, that ain't even like, I ain't even really feeling this. But then like I'll sit on it, and then the next day I'm like, there's some value there. I feel like people can benefit. I put it out. Same thing, that's the one, perfect timing. Gave me everything I needed. Like, it really, and that's really understanding the power that we have as creators to inspire people. Yep. Like,
and the thing about that, about checking in with yourself, checking in with your mental stability, your mental health, your physical health, you know what I'm saying, your spiritual health, like checking in with that. And I think that's why we teach spirituality and we practice it, is because we know how, you know what I'm saying, how important it is. Because just like you can create something beautiful, you can create something wicked as well. You know what I'm saying? You have that power to like bring something, post drama, like rap bars about going in on people or judging people or saying stuff in your songs that, you know what I'm saying? Or like, whether it's music that
anything you're creating.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying, negative or you know what I'm saying, man creates wars, the Tool song, we give, the humans thumbs, and they're making blades to cut each other, and they're give them a stick and they're using it as a bat in a club to fight and divide it up. You know what I'm saying? It's like, so choosing to create something beautiful, to create something positive out of that positive space that you dwell in, right? And then you're able to kind of embody something there, and that's big too, because you can create stupid stuff,
Yeah, for sure. It's really the intention behind it. Like, you sitting down and setting an intention behind everything that you create, rather than it really goes to what you were saying before about like, you're not just trying to rhyme for the sake of rhyming. You're trying to rhyme with substance behind it. That's your intention. Yeah. You go into every song with an intention. I know me, like, I really can't sit down and write a song without any type of intention. Even when I collaborate or something like that, I like to have them, if they don't have an initial idea for the song, I like to let them do their thing first, and then I'll build off of that. Yeah, and then I'll kind of correspond that. But when I'm really making my own tracks, every single one of my tracks, even if it's loose, I'm like, what do I generally want to encapsulate the vibration of in this time duration? Yeah. Like, pretty much, like, whether it is writing the hook first, writing
I'm usually with the hook first, because like, if I can get a hook,
I'm realizing that.
You know what I'm saying? The verses are going to come. You know what I'm saying? Or you can just fill them in. Or you can fill them in or get a feature. But the hook is kind of what is the essence of the song. And once that hook comes to you and you're like, oh yeah, this is good, then it's like the rest of the song is going to kind of do itself. And
that's absolutely
finding
true.
samples and that's a big thing too. Finding, like, listening to a documentary or Abraham Hicks session, like you said, and man, I want to embody this or put music behind it and capture it and translate that to somebody else, and then talk about what she's saying in the song, and like all of the creativity from just writing a verse turns into the creation of an entity, which is a song.
Yeah, that's very well articulated.
A living
bro.
song.
Yeah, because that's really what it is you're encapsulate. I love how you worded that. You were like, I want to take this understanding and translate it to more people, because there's many things like, I'd be listening to Gaia, I'd be like watching, podcasts, documentaries, all that stuff. I know you do as well. A lot of people do. And, really like getting the gold nugget from that thing. You like, damn, like more people need to know this. And then you take that, because at the end of the day, we literally started this podcast saying this, like, we are all just expressing truth in different ways.
Yeah.
Essentially, we're all just, there's nothing that either one of us or anyone could say that everyone doesn't already know. So you're just basically taking the truth and putting it in your own stylistic expression. So when you get inspired off of someone's art, someone's words, someone's whatever, and you can translate that through yourself, you're going to spread the evolution of that awareness. Like, in the raw material, the Law of One text, like they really say, like, they capitalize on the purpose of these channelings being to spread the law of one, the fact that we are all one. That's it. That's like the only teaching that is necessary to truly understand coherently and embody to move on to the higher planes. But they have so many numerous different ways of expressing it. And, I feel like there's like, when you're in an inspired state, it never runs out of ways to really say these different messages. And I was actually going to touch on this earlier when you were saying you don't want to regurgitate the same things and say the same things, say the same words and stuff like that. I feel like one way to really like accomplish the spreading of the same message in different ways with different articulation, a big thing with that is I've always seen music, and for that matter, all creative endeavors, to go hand in hand with your personal development. I talk about it in my mastermind meetings every 2 weeks. I always say it. Our creative endeavors go hand in hand and are, correspondent to our personal development, the development of our personal self, mind, body, and spirit is going to correlate to the development of our business, of our creative endeavors, of all that type of stuff. So as you just focus on working on yourself, while you start to reach new chapters of your growth, the artistic expressions that you create along each step is going to be at a different vantage point. So you're naturally going to have a different perspective of expressing something. It may not necessarily be in every single domain of understanding, but let's say, for example, you're talking about money in a song, right? And you're just like, spiritual abundance, you got to work for what you love, whatever. And then like, let's say a couple of years go by, you're like completely financially free and money just flows like liquid, like air for you now. You're going to have a completely different way of expressing that same truth. Everything you said before in that song, before you're financially free or whatever, was completely true. But now you have a different vantage point of expressing it. Same thing with like the law of one, the law of all this stuff, literally everything. If you're developing yourself and evolving and expanding, you're going to naturally have a different way. And, your energy towards expressing how you feel about it and how you understand it. Your understanding is going to grow. So therefore, your articulation of the understanding is going to alter. So you're going to be saying the same thing, but you're going to be saying it in different ways.
Yeah. No, I'm with you, man. Just wherever you are. And that's the thing about me. So like I can look back over these albums that I've done, and they all, like you said, represent a different phase of your spiritual growth, where you were at mentally, who your friends were, what I'm saying, what you were dealing with spiritually. And so as you grow, your art everything acts as a timestamp. That's why music is so powerful, because you can look back over your life and hear a song, and that song, I got songs that remind me of riding in the back seat of the car when I was a kid with my mom. Like 80s music comes on, I'm immediately translated back to that car. You know, I've got other songs that immediately translate me back to a psilocybin encounter where I'm encountering God and the universe and the angelic. One song immediately acts as a portal to take me back, right? So music is so important, and it's so powerful, and it's their timestamps. There's some music that people can't listen to anymore because it reminds them of an ex-lover or a bad time in their life or whatever the case is. And so music is so important, man. So what are some of the artists or songs that really, I know there's endless amount, but what are some of like the staple songs that really did it for you early on spiritually, promoting spirituality, spiritual hip hop, or just, you know, spiritual folk music? Because there's a lot of that stuff that's really good, Nako and Trevor Hall and things like that. What are some of the things that you were listening to that just kind of lit a fire within you to continue to read?
Yeah, for sure. Before I answer that, I'm gonna just touch on what you just said last right quick, where you were talking about how music is so powerful. Just real quick, basically we are vibrational beings, and also most of us is water. Almost all of our physical body is water. What happens when you vibrate water? Its molecular structure changes. So I feel like one of the most not important, but one of the most effective ways to translate an understanding to someone is through music, because music is vibrational frequency. It's sound frequency. It's literally just vibration that you're experiencing that you then interpret through your brain based upon the vibrations. And that can lead to an altered state of emotion. You know, that's why you can instantly feel how you feel for a lover, a current lover, an ex-lover, feel how you were in the back of that car seat, feel how you were while you were tripping on psilocybin. Like, you can be brought back to those memories so powerfully and vividly because you're accessing it emotionally. And the music can trigger emotions because emotion is just energy in motion. So you're experiencing, you know, the vibration correlated to that emotion. So that's why music is so powerful. And there's other ways of, you know, relaying this as well. And in terms of artists and songs that have really inspired me along my journey, definitely like beyond spiritual artists, like I definitely gotta mention, like, you know, Eminem, Kid Cudi, Tech Nine. Those were three very large influences of mine along my, you know, in terms of getting my foot in the door,
stylistically
creating
and
music
stuff too, right?
Yeah, for sure. Definitely, you know, it's obvious, you know, the Tech Nine Eminem influence in terms of like the lyricism, the fast rap and the chopping style, like that's very apparent. And like, I'm very grateful because I feel like the reason I've been able to achieve the caliber of cadence that I have in my, you know, young physical age is like solely because of the fact that I know that it was done. When I see Tech Nine going, and I'm listening to the song on repeat, I'm like, damn, yo, he's actually pronouncing every syllable. Like if I were to slow this down, he would say it clear as day. Like that's a next level of rapping. Like, you know, if it wasn't for people like Eminem, Tech Nine, you know, like Bone Thugs and Harmony, like, you know, these people like rapping at ridiculously high speeds, but coherently, like I wouldn't have even known it was possible to have the belief that I can do it. So that's why I feel like, you know, they're definitely worth mentioning. And in terms of, you know, spiritual artists, definitely some of my favorites, biggest influence was probably Satsang, definitely along that spiritual folk music, but they would wrap it in with like they would like speed up what they were saying, like integrating like fast talking with complete just soulful singing, and just the messages are just purely from heart, purely from source. Another great one is Fia Storm is her Instagram, I believe, but she got very beautiful spiritual music, all from complete soul. Rob Ricardo is another one. You know, all the people that I've been blessed to meet, like, you know, I haven't met you physically yet, but a lot of them I've met physically, you know, TruthSeekah, Illuminati Congo, Cruz, Donnie Arcade, Lundrell, like Brian Divisions, Third Eye, all these people, Free Soul, Drock, like Spectrum, Renegade. There's literally so many to name. It's crazy. I'm just grateful that, you know, so many people out here are actually creating at this caliber. And it's just, it fires me up when I see Illuminati Congo dropping tapes, when I see like Brian Division's dropping music videos and singles, when I see everyone like doing their thing, like it just fires me the fuck up inside, you know? And that's where I feel like there's like a competitive nature within every human being, like specifically the masculine. And where I feel like you can turn that to your benefit is when you turn that competitive nature into an inspiration. When I see people really going hard, like I get that drive, that like intense like fuel. And rather than it being of jealousy, of bitter, you know, like all that, yeah, all that type of stuff. Exactly. Which, like, you know, when I was way younger, you know, I ain't even gonna hold you, you know, I would experience those things, you know, I would experience like, you know, it would make me feel insecure about myself, all those types of things. A lot of people, when you're able to be mindful of that and shift that competitiveness with all the detrimental ego emotions that really come with it, when you're able to take that same emotion but flip its polarity into the positive equivalent, yo, when people drop music, I get fired up with passion. It makes me instantly want to hit the studio. Not even on some like I'm trying to compete with you, just like you did something so beautiful that beautiful emotion within me has been ignited and sparked, and now the fiery, passionate creativity within me is just brought to the surface, you know? And that's why I feel like it's just very powerful to have artists and people in general that you are inspired by, or even, you know, anything that you're inspired by. Don't even necessarily have to be people. It could be philosophies, could be religions, whatever gets you by. I always say in terms of religions, like, it don't matter what you believe, as long as you're not hurting yourself or anybody else. If you're genuinely getting value from what it is you believe, it doesn't matter. Just don't be hating on other people for not wanting to be a part of your ideology, because in the end of the day, like, you know, they're all just abstractions anyway. The fact that you can understand anything through logic, it has to be fractalized into the compressed vibration that we can understand it. True reality, true God, true source is something that's ineffable, something that can never be understood, something that can never be put into words, because words are an abstract vibration. They're an abstract simplification of eternal unity, Tao, whatever you want to call it. Just so many names for it. So, like, you know, whatever works for you type thing. But how about you, bro? What are some artists that and songs that really like speak to you?
Yeah, man. And those are, I mean, you named a lot of stuff I'm not even familiar with, but there's some people in the chat who are commenting, talking about Satsung and other artists that you mentioned that they resonate with. But for me, I would say Bone Thugs and Harmony obviously was a big one coming up, right? I listened to a lot of them, and then to be able to like interview, you got the chance to interview Busy Bone, and we text every now and then and stuff like that, and like to be friends with him as a little kid, like growing up, like I mean, I was like 10 years old. No, I was way younger than that, dude. I was like 7 years old, and my brother introduced me to them. And it was like, hey, there's a song, Derek, I got this song, you got to hear it. I found out about, and it's a song that teaches you how to rob a bank. I was like, what? So yeah, you listen to the song and it teaches you how to rob a bank. And literally they have a story about them going in the bank and pulling out a shotgun and holding people. And obviously it's negative, not good, you know, but stylistically what those dudes brought to the table set the bar so high, further than the greats you've mentioned, Tech Nine and maybe some Eminems and things like that, you know, with speed and cadence and singing and harmony. So Bone Thugs, big. I draw a lot of influence from like the alternative and metal scene as well. So like early new metal, so it's like rap and metal mix. So Korn, you know, was you know what I'm saying, really big into them, and Cold Chamber and just the different new metal, and I incorporate that into my music a lot of whispering even. Like I whisper a lot of ad libs and echoes back and forth and stuff like that I got from, a lot of that stuff, and I incorporated into the music. Deftones. I was listening to, for my album 333, which is one of the standout albums for me. I was listening to a lot of Kid Cudi and Deftones. Deftones put out an album that's talking about astral travel and becoming one and shedding your skin and letting your inside show to the world, and just these concepts that were just so awesome. So it's like a marriage between those two, and you can hear the influences in my music. So as far as stylistically, it was those guys, but as far as giving shout out to like the spiritual music, I mean, and all of those groups and stuff have some spiritual stuff, especially Tool is huge for me. Tool is so huge. Who else we got? So we got Tool, the hip hop Conspirituality. Like, I found their stuff and it took it to the next level for me. Conspirituality, Lost Children of Babylon was huge for me early on. Finding their work kind of introduced me to this. But, you know, there's a bunch of other people who have some spiritual messages in their stuff too. But Nako and Medicine for the People, like, their music was a soundtrack for my spiritual awakening and choosing love and, you know, and promoting getting out in nature. Like Trevor Hall, Chapter of the Forest, amazing album, dude, an amazing album.
All of his stuff, man.
So yeah, I like to pay it forward, and you can hear maybe some influence from all of those artists in my stuff. And you know, I like to mention their name, Illuminati Congo. You know, definitely working with him and his influence, and I say him as a person for the most part. I just love that dude.
Yeah,
man. You know what I'm saying? And I like to mention him as much as I can, because there's a lot of people that you meet and have interactions with people, even in the spiritual realm or in the church realm, because I come from that too, where these people have an appearance or a form of godliness or their whatever, and you meet them and they don't do it. And there's even some of these people I'm mentioning, the names that I've looked up to musically, they don't live up to their stuff in their music. Like, these are bad dudes, bro. These dudes will rob you, and like, but they're dropping Akashic knowledge, but they will rob you. Send them money for a verse, you're not getting the verse, but you paid them. Like all, we've been ripped off by all these spiritual artists for the most part. You know what I'm saying? That's why I mention Illuminati Congo. That's why I mention Aslan Natir. You know what I'm saying? Like, them they'll send the verse back to either same day or next day. That the work ethic's there. I've had people like these artists beg me for features. Hey man, send me $300 and I got you your verse in 72 hours. And it's been 6 months, you know, and then, you know what I'm saying? And so being able to meet some of these people and like, cause you have an expectation when you hear their music. I have an expectation, and I hope I live up to that expectation for others when they hear my music. We got to make sure we let people know we're human. We have flaws. We're not perfect, but there's a level of integrity that I operate in, or try to anyway, that is the plumb line, is the standard, and I hold everyone to that. You know what I'm saying? What you say on your record, I'm gonna hold you to it. You know, it's the whole thing with gangster rap. You talking about killing people in bodies and all, and selling dope and stuff, but then you don't really do it. Oh, that's just for entertainment. So I'm listening to these dudes talking about ascending and meeting ascended masters and traveling to the third heavens and meditations. Like, bro, I really do that. And then I would call in the interviews and talk shows and podcasts and want to talk to these guys because I look up to them, and I'd ask them, yo, is there any techniques for meditation? And they're like, bro, I don't meditate. It's like, what? You got 17 songs about meditation, bro. What you mean you don't meditate? It really
be like that, man. A lot of people crazy, don't practice what they preach. And that's where I feel like, you know, along my journey, like probably like this past year that just passed, the big thing with me was like, you know, I was channeling a whole bunch of information. Like daily I was making videos and stuff, making music all the time. Yeah. Spreading a lot of this information, but the amount of it of which I embodied was, you know, just minuscule in comparison to that which I was channeling. Not to say like, oh, I was doing all this, but I wasn't actually doing it. But I would be like, you know, something you can do is this. I would give all this advice and stuff like that. And now I'm really at a point where I've definitely slowed down. I still create a lot of content, but I've definitely slowed down with it, taking my patience, because like, you know, I will take time to just take days off of doing nothing so that I can meditate for hours at a time and work on myself and really just like give myself love, understand my emotions, go through these states within myself, go through my own process, because the best way that we can show up for others is by showing up for ourselves.
Yeah.
And it's really important to embody your teachings, because that's the way that you can truly, like, without having to say anything, you can just be in somebody's energetic presence and inspire them. You can relay your teachings without even teaching.
Yeah.
Just you being in that frequency is something that will relay the message. So when you really take it seriously as like, all right, I'm going to, it's cool. If you want to just like channel the knowledge, if you just want to talk about it, you know, that's good. If it's in alignment with your heart and stuff like that, that's better than doing nothing. But if you want to truly take it to that next level of truly reaching people, of truly transforming people's lives on every level that you possibly can, it all starts with transforming your own life. And when you really take seriously the embodiment of the teachings that you're channeling, that's when you can affect people on a much more accelerated level. And it really does take patience, you know, this spiritual path, this, you know, eating right, thinking right, feeling right, all this stuff, like, especially at the beginning, until you really like build up that momentum. It ain't easy, man. It ain't easy. Some of us, you know, I'm very blessed to have realized this knowledge at the age I am. So I didn't have to undergo as much like undoing conditioning as some other people. Some people listening to this might be in their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. At my last source gathering, I had this couple who they were in their 50s. They were like in their mid 50s. They just got married and stuff like that. They came to the source gathering. They did the guided meditation. I hosted a workshop on ascension. They sat the whole thing. I gave them a discount on the burgers, you know, and they were just like, they were eating a vegan burger, listening to us. And then they were asking hella questions, very involved, very much present, their eyes making contact with me every moment, you know, stuff like that. But they were just like, you know, where do I start type thing? You know, they got 50 years behind them of conditioning to undo. And not to say that it's not able to be done, because it very much can. It very much can. You dedicate, it's just a conscious choice. But, you know, being patient with yourself at the same time, like understanding the amount of conditioning that you have to overcome, understanding how many years of your life you've gone of this being foreign, and you're literally going against an entire habitual way of being, you know, being patient with yourself, but also dedicating and showing up every time with it. It's really just like the way to thrive in any endeavor is to really make that conscious decision that I'm going to show up as fully as I can. I'm going to make this commitment. And when you make that decision, following through with it, having certain loose guidelines in terms of, you know, steps that you can dedicate yourself to every day, every week, whatever, stuff like that, to keep yourself accountable, because accountability is a big decision. If you want to say that you're going to meditate twice a day, keep reminders on your phone, keep like a checklist on a whiteboard or a piece of paper somewhere, like holding that accountability, but at the same time, not beating the shit out of yourself if you miss a day or something like that. Like, it really is all about balance. You can't be so I always say, like, I don't want to live the lifestyle of an overindulgent Westerner, but I also don't want to live the lifestyle of a completely no indulgent person in the East who eats a grain of freaking rice every day and just meditates for 10 hours. Like, we're here to experience physicality.
Yes.
We're here to experience love, emotion, tragedy, strife. We're here to experience all these beautiful highs and lows that come with physical human condensed vibration.
Yeah.
But it's finding the balance, which is where the true wisdom is. It's not going completely left where you're just, you know, the negative side, you could call it. And it's not even going completely right.
Yeah.
The positive side, it is acting in alignment with that, but also understanding that you got to experience. There'll be days where you feel like shit. You feel lazy. You feel tired. You feel negative, whatever. You got to experience those. You got to feel it to heal it and stuff like that. And finding your balance in between.
Yeah, that's big, man. I've been dealing with that a lot as far as like dealing with people who are like, they believe like, you know, mankind is wicked and the earth is wicked, or, you know, they don't, it's about feeling, bro. It's about feeling. And that's why I've talked about this just a couple of weeks ago, like the band Tool, Like they got, the song, what is the song? Lateralis is talking about and like understanding that I'm, my divinity and swinging on the spiral and going through all of this stuff but still embracing my humanity, like to be a human, because a lot of this stuff turns into escapism. You know what I'm saying? What can I do to escape feeling these ways? And listen, it's a reason why you're depressed. You need to figure out why. And that depression there is here to help you to get your stuff together.
And it's not about like, oh, I'm feeling depressed, I gotta go, do something to raise my vibration to escape it. It's
sit
about
in it.
knowing.
Why am I depressed? Well, you're depressed because you keep running off all your friends. You keep burning bridges with people that's trying to help you. Okay, that's why you're depressed, because I ain't got no friends. Okay, why don't you have any friends? And instead of like blaming someone else, blaming others on an outside source or whatever, just to look, this part of the experience. I need to fix this. I'm going to continue to do it. Or whether it's diet, I'm depressed because I'm just slamming cheeseburgers and I always feel sluggish and I hate my appearance in the mirror. Why am I so fat? Why do I have a beer belly? Well, because you drank so much beer. Why am I always tired and
taking
answering
accountability and responsibility, which is definitely against the programming
human
of a lot of
experience,
people.
bro. Versus like trying to like pray your way out of it or escape it. Pray through it for sure. Be conscious, be mindful. But there's a reason why you're entertaining these people. There's a reason why you feel this way. You need to correct it. It's showing up. It's a symptom that's showing up. You got to get down to the root of it.
Yeah, the praying and the manifestation techniques and the visualization, this is all supplementary to your actions. It's not exclusively an escape to like, I don't have to eat healthy if I pray for a good body, or if I manifest or visualize a good body. It goes hand in hand. You got to create these realities in higher realms, and then you have to take action accordingly for it to manifest into this physical plane. So like, yeah, that's also a really big point, man. And just really facing your emotions. A lot of people get scared or distraught or something like that when they experience something unpleasurable. And the way that you actually transform it is by not escaping it. And that's where the balance does come into play with, that tool line. I really resonate with that. That was very, very true. Understanding your divinity, but also experiencing this physicality. Like that's very much what we're all here to learn, because it is easier to completely abolish all worldly possessions than it is to like mature and wisely interact with the physical plane while always maintaining your state of divinity in this plane. That's what we're here to truly learn, is here to master this physical plane, not escape it, not like abolish it and like run away from it. We're here to understand how to truly be source consciousness, divinity, showing up in this physical plane amidst all these lower vibrational entities and energies and all this stuff, being in this plane, but still holding and maintaining this light frequency, this powerful frequency of source, is to integrate both of those things. That's what we're here to learn. And it's definitely when you really, truly, not just intellectually, but experientially and emotionally like grasp that, you have that Satori moment about that. That's when lives change, man. When you understand, like, I am source here to have a human experience for the purpose of the expansion and evolution of all of existence. Like every single human experience that we go through is not only to evolve ourselves, it is to evolve ourselves, but we are interconnected with everything else. So by you growing, by you evolving, by you showing up fully in this human life, you are contributing to the evolution of literally everything. Every single one of us matters equally. No matter whether you're a 6th density being or a 3rd density being, we're all just different fractals of existence. So like going through that, going through your journey, going through, all right, I'm going through this for a purpose. I'm going through this beyond just my own lessons. It is for that, but it's beyond that. We're all functioning at a level. We're all existing for a level beyond what like most of us are able to imagine. So yeah, understanding that is essential for growth, having that perspective when you put things into that frame of mind. And that's why I feel like experiences like like psychedelic experiences in general, or even beyond psychedelic experiences, any type of mind-altering experience,
even that's
deep state of meditation.
even that turns into escapism, the psychedelic movement.
Oh, it very much can. It very much
every
can.
weekend, bro, doing psychedelics every weekend, bro. Going to Asheville, bro.
Yeah. That's absolutely how it be, man.
Yeah.
Like it really is just, just like anything, it can be utilized for benefit or utilized for detriment. It depends upon your intentions with them. But
abusing anything, bro, any person or any plants, abusing it, man.
Yeah, you can have meet someone in your life that this woman like has everything that you need, this beautiful woman, but then you, rather than living your own life in harmony with hers and you guys both expanding each other's growth, you decide to extract happiness from her externally. That's using a very beautiful thing in your life that could be so much for your growth. You're using that to literally stunt your growth and cripple you, use her as a cripple. It's the same thing with psychedelics. People can use it as like, this beautiful thing, and then they'll just eat a bunch of shrooms or LSD or whatever the case may be to feel like they're growing with each dosage or with each trip or something like that, because they're
getting like
development externally,
occult knowledge or something just through doing that. And if
exactly
the knowledge is to be a better person, man. Don't be a
and on top of all of that I really love telling people about psychedelics from my experience is that there's nothing that you could learn from a psychedelic that you can't learn without it. It's just bringing you to another state of consciousness to be able to have a new vantage point to receive other downloads. You can completely attain this naturally. You can completely attain this through other means. I always say, like, it can be a very valuable tool for ascension should you use it with strong intentions, but it's not necessary. It's not a prerequisite to expand and evolve and grow. You don't need it.
You don't have to have it. Yeah, everybody. Yeah,
exactly.
It's growing. It's getting popular. And for good reason, I think, though. But yeah, what do you think about drug rap as far as like in the spiritual movement? Because there's like there's groups of people that it's very popular to turn the psychedelic rap into drug rap, and they mix like sleeping around and they're cursing in it. I mean, there's just so much like negativity. Like literally, there's artists who are really big in the spiritual hip hop when they talk about opening your third eye, but they're talking about sleeping with groupies and stuff, one night stand and stuff that I don't resonate with it. I know I share a lot of this similar fan base, and they try to group me in with that. So if I mention plant medicine or I mention psilocybin or ayahuasca or something, hey, these guys are rapping about it too. But for me, there's a difference, and I don't think we have to say any names. I think the fruit kind of speaks for itself. Is that music different to you? Like that just glorifies the drug rap versus doing the internal.
Absolutely. I'm very glad. Sorry, go on.
Just the versus the internal work and the love and peace and walking in that versus like just bragging about eating shrooms and Molly. They mix it together. Like they could talk about, all of this. It's drug rap, really. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, everything that you're saying, I'm completely on the same wavelength, brother. And I'm actually very glad that you brought this to surface to conversate about, because I feel like it's very relevant. I felt this way from the beginning before I was even making music. And I was looking at people like underachievers and stuff like that. And like, talking about these very beautiful things. And like, you could take something that like, for example, weed is a great example. Weed is it can be a very sacred medicine used for ceremony to expand your consciousness if used intentionally, just like any of the other psychedelics and stuff like that. Because weed is a lower level psychedelic, quite frankly. And, they just talking about smoking blunt after blunt after blunt. Then I'll go and, doing everything that you're saying, like using it.
Mixing it all together. Shrooms,
the distinction Molly. For me is very clear in the sense that there's a presence of ego in the utilization of these topics where I resonate more, certainly with like, there will be songs like shit. I even have a song called Psilocybin with Illuminati Congo, Brian Divisions, and like, but good like, song. Thank you. Appreciate it. But I feel like, you can very much talk about these things where there's no sense. And I'm very grateful that everyone's verse, the hook, it was all completely aligned. I didn't feel ego in any of their verses. It was all just about sharing their experiences from a pure place. So you can share your experiences from your heart, you know, just like for this purpose of spreading the positive benefits of something, whether it be psychedelics or weed or even meditation or anything, you know what I'm saying? Anything that can expand your growth. You can come from that pure place of soul, or on the contrary, just like there's both sides to everything, you can talk about it from a state of ego. And I like how you use the word bragging. You know, some people, they'll even talk about not even talking about mind-altering substances. They'll talk about meditation. But they're like, yeah, I'll be meditating 3 hours a day every day. And like, you know, they're just like, they got that type of energy, obviously paraphrasing, but like they got that type of like, you know, oh, I'm more evolved. And definitely in this group of ascending beings, this type of conscious rap, spiritual rap, whatever you want to put a label on it as, which really it has no label. There's so many people who will be accessing these higher states. And although they won't even be talking about drugs, sometimes they will, sometimes they won't even be talking about drugs.
That's good. They don't even have to. They can just articulate it like and not even mention it, but they
for sure. Definitely. I absolutely agree with that. That's like pure, and I love it.
You have to think like, did he eat mushrooms? He had to eat mushrooms. There's no way, you know?
Yeah, man, for sure. But then there's also people who they might not even be talking about the external things, but they're talking about meditation. They're talking about breath work. They're talking about all these things, but they're doing it in a position of ego. You know, the presence of ego is apparent to me when I hear anyone talk, when I see anyone's body movements. Yo, for real. Like when they basically like, they take that same energy of ego and then they spice it in with I meditate. Yeah, I do this. Yeah, I do that. Yeah, I'm accessing higher states. And then it's a ego rather than trying to uplift others. You're trying to uplift yourself through the creation of the music. And obviously through uplifting others, if it's from a pure place, you are uplifting yourself. You are healing yourself by healing others if it's in a pure place. Yeah. But I feel like it very much is something to be very aware of when you are looking for music or quite frankly, any creation in this domain of ascending and following different, teacher, mentor, following any pages on social medias, YouTube
I'm glad you resonate because I've shared, I did a little Instagram video. It's been probably 3 years now, and I was like, hey, there's a distinction here. It's not the same thing, guys. My music is, I know I share and people were saying that, like thinking I was sounding like a hater or a bitter or something like that, but I was like, look, I'm gonna let you know it's a distinction. If you getting us confused, then I'm doing something wrong. Like
not everyone is perceptible to it at the same time.
Exactly.
Like I'm definitely
they are opening people up to the conversation though, right? There's a reason it's popular. They're introducing people into it, but you got to. I feel like we got to speak for the trees, man. Like I feel like they want respect, bro. I think it's a medicine. I think we need to. I think it's sacred. I think it's set apart. I think it. You know what I'm saying? It's like people abusing.
Absolutely, man.
Abusing.
That's absolutely true, man. Like you know as well as I do, if you've experienced them, that these plants are teachers. They're conscious sentient energies that are here to teach us, to help us grow, to accelerate our expansion. When they're used with malintent, when they're used for escapism, when they're used for party drugs, just getting high, exactly, party drugs, there's, when they're used for these purposes, the spirits themselves, they have an emotion. They're like, they get upset in a sense. Like a great example is like there's some big festivals and stuff like that where people partake in a lot of plant medicines. They smoke a lot of weed. They do a lot of shrooms. Even ayahuasca is used around there. And yeah, man. Then they just throw everything in there. And then like it's like the spirit of the mushrooms, the spirit of the cannabis, whatever the case may be, doesn't resonate with that use of the molecules of psilocybin or of THC or whatever. These are sacred teachers and they need to be honored and, understood accordingly. you know, and that's why I feel like I was so grateful when you brought this up, because this is a very worthwhile conversation topic to have, especially for the fan base, is to really have these conversations more. And also, like you said, you know, these people who are bringing egotism to the concept, you know, they are in a sense playing their role, because let's say, for example, somebody listens to just, you know, all these little rappers or whatever, you know, I don't even know their names anymore, man, but like there's the little rappers and
Lil Pump, Lil Yachty, Lil Wayne, Lil Uzi Vert,
yeah,
Lil Sky,
like
Lil anything. It was funny. You can probably make up any word and put Lil in front of it, and there's a rapper by that name, Lil Dookie.
No, probably.
It's probably, I guarantee there's a rapper named Lil Dookie. That's what they called him.
I wouldn't be surprised, man. I truly mean that statement. I wouldn't be surprised. But
go ahead.
You know, there's people who only listen to these people, and they wouldn't even think about listening to like you or me or like Illuminati Congo or one of us who's like coming from this pure place. They wouldn't even remotely contemplate it. They would instantly hear it, and then they would just be like, nah, this ain't my vibration. You know, they're so outside of it. So people like talking about these spiritual concepts with ego, they're in a sense bridging that gap. So like, as much as me personally, I can't really bump that music, I can't really resonate with that frequency, that's also because I literally can't sit and listen to these little rappers. Like, that's not where my frequency's at personally. No disrespect to people who are, we're all on different frequencies. But the people who do resonate on that frequency, they might listen to someone who's talking about, you know, egotism, all these egotism, talking about like, you know, women, drugs, whatever, the same things that the little people were talking about, but then they're spicing in a little the same things that they were talking about. They might also be talking about all those things. So someone would be listening to it, but then every couple bars will talk about, yeah, meditation is the medication for your elevation. And then they'll just be throwing in little things like that.
Yeah.
And then like, that's priming people, you know? And then when they hear things like us, you know, they'll naturally,
it works like that too, for sure.
It won't be so foreign.
Yeah.
So like, definitely, as much as I personally don't resonate, and I most certainly strive not to make ego music. Yeah. That's always been, I make music for my true self-expression of source, you know. As much as I will never create that music, I have no disrespect against the people who do, although I do encourage that they get out of their ego and, you know, make music for source. But the people who are, you know, no disrespect to them, they're all playing their role nonetheless. When you can really remove yourself outside of the, you know, these people are talking about taking sacred things and talking about it negatively like that, you know, no part of me resonates with that. Yeah. But from like a higher perspective, it is serving the overall growth of everything. Just like, for example, like, you know, it's really rough to bring it up for a lot of people emotionally, but like things like tragedies, war, strife, suffering, from an emotional perspective, it's like no part of me resonates with it. Every part of me doesn't want it to happen. But when you really actually remove yourself and look from a cosmic perspective, all of the suffering in life fuels the evolution. So like, not to justify any of it, but to understand it. You know what I'm saying? From a higher perspective.
Yeah, I'm 100% with you, man. It does. I mean, it all serves its purpose in the evolutionary process of everything. Even the stuff you just mentioned about the wars and protests and all the stuff that's kind of going on, civil unrest. Like, there's a lot of people who get into that music, right? And a lot of us started off in political stuff, but then it kind of opened the door for the spiritual stuff. You figured out, look, I can't change anything politically.
Immortal technique.
My vote means nothing. But then that opened up. Trust me, there's a lot of people who listen to Immortal Technique who's like, okay, I can't. Dwelling on the problem ain't finna do nothing. I need to. What is the answer? Spirituality. And then so they find my work. Yeah. Oh man, I was listening to Mortal Technique, and then I found you. Or I was listening to Alex Jones, and then I found you. Like, I was ready for the solution, and I was with that for so many years, protesting or whatever. And then that's a part of the evolution. Some people listen to like Cess Crew. I know that was a big one, and they were like, yeah, man, they got a song called Seven Chakras, bro. Spiritual hip hop. I'm listening. I was like, there ain't nothing spiritual about this song. This song is not about seven chakras. They're like, yeah, dude, they gotta check out Seven Chakras.
Song,
like
all that.
I was like, the name of it is spiritual, but I don't hear nothing about.
They did their thing lyrically. They did their thing lyrically, and the video was cool. But in terms of actually talking about what the song was, like,
I did find this though. So just so everyone knows, there is a rapper named Lil Dookie, and here's his freestyle.
Lil Dookie. All right.
Lil Dookie freestyle.
Yo, mama, stop.
Yeah,
nigga, I'm a robot, nigga. I'm getting this shit and math that.
You can put little anything. There's a Lil Dookie. How about Lil Worm? Lil Worm. There's a rapper named Lil Worm as well. Like little anything. This Lil Worm.
He end up popped his niggas still be asking me for features.
Lil Worm. I mean, little anything. Little. You know, Lil Derek. Let's see if there's a Lil Derek. Spell it the same way we spell it, just in case we wanna. Okay, here's Lil Derek. Lil Derek, bitch. He just said. Ain't no love in my city. It ain't no love in my city. The Lils. I mean, there's a little everything. It's interesting, huh? Yeah. Speaking of names, I want to ask you this: where does your name come from? Why did you pick that name? Does it resonate with you in some type of way? Why'd you pick that as a alias to go by?
Yeah, I love explaining it. So basically, like, without me searching, without me even understanding what the Pleiiadians were, I initially kind of had my first interaction with, it was actually in 2016 on an LSD experience with a friend of mine. I came across the song that came up randomly in a YouTube playlist called Pleiiadian Message by Teo and Jaden Smith. I heard that, and then with that, I didn't know who the Pleiiadians were. This was prior to even my spiritual awakening, man. I was like just starting to meditate, but I was really like, if you were to ask me if the soul existed at this point in my life, I would probably still say, probably not. We're all just matter. I was studying quantum physics, string theory, all that stuff, the physical things. And then despite my physical scientific perspective of everything, that song hit me. And because, I feel like it would have had the same effect whether I was sober or not. But the fact that I was in this heightened state of consciousness, I was even more perceptive to downloads. And I basically got this initial feeling of familiarity, joy, love, and support, like that I could not explain or understand until literally months after the experience. And that was my first encounter with really feeling this familiarity with this. And then I would listen to this song. I would listen to this song on repeat, no other song for the entire day. I'd walk, all that stuff. And then I'd be like, why do I love this song so much, man? And I'm like, what the frick is a Pleiiades? Pleiiadian Message. What the frick?
When did it come
out? I'll be able to tell you. I'm pretty sure it came out in 2015, 2016.
Is that one of the first conscious songs? Is that one of the first conscious songs that Jaden Smith did? I remember hearing a couple.
Quite frankly, it said it came out 4 years ago. Well, that's on the Nostalgic Jams thing. A lot of this stuff was taken down. It definitely was. I feel like one of the first conscious songs that at least I heard from him. He made a lot with Teo. He also had another one he made with Teo called Pleiiadian Medicine. But this song, actually, Pleiiadian Message, if you actually listen to Jaden Smith's verse, it really had nothing to do with the Pleiiadians. It wasn't even spiritual. He was talking about women. It was honestly kind of, I would always skip his verse. But the way that it happened was Jaden Smith, I'm pretty sure if I got the story right, this was Teo's beat or something, or it wasn't even Teo's beat because he's a producer. Jaden Smith was just freestyling, and his verse on this was a freestyle that was recorded. And then Teo, I don't know how you say his name, Teo. He put the two verses in that he wrote afterwards. So Jaden Smith just freestyled over this beat, and then Teo just added his verses, and I feel honestly used Jaden Smith's promotion to promote this message. That's kind of the vibe I get from this song, because he talks about Pleiadian emissary of light, welcome me to your planet. I'm coming in from a flight. I'm looking right at the spiritual being, something ethereal, something. He's nice. I'm coming. no worries, we mean nothing disastrous. We can only enter the planet after you've asked for us. We cannot interfere with the human evolution because we have to witness everything you do with no intrusion, you see? We're beings of light, beings of love. We lived through all of the hatred, saw that it didn't make sense. Now we've embodied patience. Now we live as these ancient beings, sending you messages from the future to take in. Like, he's literally describing the non-interference policy, the distortions of free will, the fact that Pleiadians are humanoid and they are humans. They're just older than us. They lived through all of the hatred, saw that it didn't make sense. Now they embody patience. Like, he's literally telling their whole story, none of which I understood when I was listening to it. But to basically, like, long story short, I looked into Pleiadians, and then I listened to Barbara Marciniak's channelings. I started to just really listen to the channelings. And then
just that one word opened you up to just a whole realm of your life.
Exactly.
And
it's not even so much that I resonated with the teachings, because don't get me wrong, I absolutely did. Absolutely. But the reason why I know with such certainty is because of the feeling that I would get every time I would listen to them. I would cry listening to these things, man. Like, I would have freaking like emotional releases beyond what I've ever experienced before. Some of the most powerfully profound emotional experiences I've ever had were at this period in my life, experiencing this Pleiadian energy. I would feel this love around me. I would feel these beings around me. I wouldn't see them. I wouldn't hallucinate, nothing like that. I would feel this energy and like this familiarity. And over time, it just kind of became an intuitive understanding within me that this is just kind of my heritage. This is part of who I am. Like, I am one of these beings. There's a reason I feel familiarity. There's a reason why I feel like I'm in the presence of loved ones, in the presence of family. Like, I really would feel like I was in the presence of my family, even more so than my physical family, than my literal family, you know, all these crazy feelings. And then when it came time to, like, you know, decide like what my artist creator name was going to be or whatever, like, you know, no real thought went into it. It just kind of came out. You know, at first it was Pleiades the Pleiadian with one eye, Pleiades with one eye, Pleiades the Pleiadian. And then like in the end of 2018, I changed it from Pleiades to Pleiadian to just Pleiades with three eyes, because that's actually when I went through a lot of my Satori experience, and that's when I did start to open up my third eye more, cleanse, detox, activate more of my psychic potential and whatnot. So it kind of came very intuitively. There was very little thought about it. There was very little, oh, I'm a Pleiadian, what is it? None of the implications, none of that really. When I decided to name myself Pleiades, it was before I even knew a lot about the Pleiadians. I didn't know about the Seven Sisters. Well, I did know about the fact that it's in the Pleiadian star cluster is in the eye of the Taurus bull constellation, which also happens to be my astrological sign. And I have 5 different planets in my chart in Taurus. You know, like, you know, these were just synchronicities later on that just kind of confirmed my intuitive knowledge. But it came very intuitively, and that song was the initial portal that kind of brought me into this energy. And then from investigating that energy and then observing how I felt from it, it became there was no doubt. There was no, oh, how do I know this? How could I? These are different beings. There was none of that, truly. And mind you, I'm a very scientifically minded person, especially at this time. I'm the type of person to capitalize on doubt and investigation, but it was such an intense intuitive knowledge that it just came naturally. It's just, I know that, like, I have lived lives in the Pleiadians. These are our family as a human species. Like, it only makes sense to channel this energy, to embody this energy of love, of light. And these are the thoughts that later came into it. But the whole process is really just was intuitive. And I feel like that's how it comes with remembering any type of prior to this life information. It always comes from you can never really seek it. I've learned you can, and you might even be able to find some of it, but the way that I've chosen to go about, you know, remembering past lives and remembering things like this, my karmic contracts and all these types of things, I don't go out like looking for experts to try to give me this knowledge or look for books or whatever. You know, it's stimulating material to learn about it, but in terms of actually finding it within myself, it bubbles up to the surface when you're ready. It bubbles up when it's time, you know, because there's a reason why we go through this divine amnesia. There's a reason we come into each life with our quote unquote memories wiped and we forget everything, this great forgetting or whatever. It's because we're meant to focus on this life. You know, if you remembered all your past lives, you'd be so freaking worried about working off that karma and understanding those lives that you wouldn't even be present with the incarnation that you literally spawned to live out and experience fully. So that's why I encourage people to, you know, when I talk, people ask me about Pleiiades, my name, and then I talk about, like, you know, the thing I just told you in a more condensed nutshell, they would be like, oh man, that's so cool. I wonder my past lives, all that stuff. It's cool to inquisite about it, but to obsess about it is a whole nother thing. And to be like, yo, I'm really going on this divine quest of looking for your past lives. That's good if it's your time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but
like,
then you don't, like, what are you doing in this life? And people will blame.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you're over here not even
the past
grounded,
life for their problems. Oh, that's because you have unresolved issues in a past life. It's like, no, you got unresolved issues in this life, you know?
That's exactly true. I was just reading that in this book that I've been reading, this Reiki book. Yo, I'm gonna actually bring this up because everyone should read this book if they're interested, man, by Diane Stain. Very good essential Reiki book talking about all the ancient and modern teachings and the practicalities and the use of all of them in the history of Reiki, the timeline, all that jazz. The reason I bring it up is because she was talking about how a lot of the times with healing a client, with healing somebody, it's very apparent that the manifestation of dis-ease, physically or beyond that, is from karmic disresonance, something that karmically enabled this to happen. And she very much makes a point that I resonate with tremendously, of understanding that it's not something to blame the person for, but it is something that they are living out this experience to experience fully. So sometimes she would say, when doing a healing, that, you know, let's say someone has a cancer and this cancer actually originates from trauma in a past life that they're experiencing in this life. That's because it wasn't cleared in your past life, and you got to clear it in this life. Your actions in this life, in this moment, is how you work through the karma, you know? And if the Reiki is successful, then that's the alleviation of the karma. If the Reiki is not successful, which isn't even necessarily the quote unquote fault of the receiver or the healer, it might just be that person has to actually experience this disease to the fullest, which sometimes might even mean till their death, to work off their karma in this life. It's not about running to your past lives or running to your future lives even and just trying to like cleanse it all away and stuff like that. You gotta, like we were talking about earlier, experiencing it, going through it, sitting with it, understanding it. And that's the way to really clear this karma, clear these emotional blockages, and not get so caught up. It is so easy to get caught up in all these extraterrestrial beings, past lives. There's so much out there, man. So much out there, especially for people on the early part of their journey. It's so easy to get so lost in that you lose track of your freaking human being that you're here to experience. Yeah,
you're blaming all these other outside sources, man.
Exactly.
When it's like it's crazy because like all the outside sources move off of what you do. You know what I'm saying? Like there's things that you can do. Like if you believe in past lives, and like instead of like trying to figure them out or going to somebody, I believe in past life suggestion too, which is very scary. Like people suggesting, you know, that you had these things, or telling you, like going to people, I deal with people. Like there's some weird stuff out there, man. You know what I'm saying? There's some dangerous stuff out there. There's a lot of crazy stuff out there. But if you believe that it has any power, then you need to become a better person now, so that wherever you're going after this place, you get it worked out. Work it out here. Whether for the Christian, it could be a heaven or hell issue. For the person who wants to come back or believes they're going to come back as something good and kind of work out your karma. I think we do it. I don't want to put anything off from for the next life. You know what I'm saying? Like I want to do the inner work here and feel like I'm doing it. And I've done enough, you know, stuff in this life that I'm having to fix, you know what I'm saying? Versus like 3 or 4 generations ago, like trying to go back and fix that. We are influenced by our ancestry line and the sins of the fathers and your family tree and things like that. That kind of, you have a disposition to feel a certain type of way. Or maybe I was listening to a podcast yesterday or an interview with T.D. Jakes and Charlemagne the God, and they were talking about these studies that were done on African Americans who are carrying residuals of stress that white Americans don't have because of coming from a slavery background, that they're still suffering in their DNA from the fear and paranoia of running and being beaten and all of these kind of things. And they were talking about these doctors were seeing things in their in their DNA that was different. And there's a lot of things that we need to that influence us that we don't know about. But I think, like you said, doing the inner work now, and it's your responsibility. Yeah,
because I feel like a big
to end it with
that
you
use,
to end it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do know what you're saying, man. I feel like you used a very important word there, and that is influenced by rather than caused by. That's where the shift in the understanding happens, rather than blaming it, is understanding its influence. Like, a great example of this, there's infinite examples, but a great example just to get it talking about is, astrology. The moment that you're born, the celestial alignments that energetically influence your birth. Mm-hmm. So many people will read their astrology charts and instantly identify with it and be like, okay, I'm a Taurus, so that means I'm stubborn, and there's nothing I'm just a stubborn person. I gotta be stubborn the rest of my life, and just people be like that, man.
I'm just really brash.
Own it.
Short.
Yeah, like these. The
weird thing is that like, if you go to numerology.com or whatever and you read, it seems pretty accurate until you read someone else's, but kind of tell yourself that it's yours, like for your month or whatever, your astrological sign. You're like, that's me too. There's a way of reading people, because we all deal with stuff, man. You know what I'm saying? And and nobody's above reproach, and we all have our, hey, that's just like me. But then you read the other ones and they're just like you too at certain times.
Also like me. Yeah.
Maybe during that time of the month, or year, maybe during that time of the year, you're more susceptible to that chart. You know what I'm saying? And everyone is, not just hey, between January was an amazing month for me, and that's my sign, Capricorn. Amazing month for me, and it usually is. It's my birthday. It's right after Christmas. There's a lot of things that come into play, and you go through, you make your way through the zodiac, man. You know what I'm saying? We all are. It's not just you're sticking to that one sign. We're going through the hero's journey and going through life and experiences, and we all have our ups and downs and victories and battles, and we're short with people, and then we do the inner work. So I think that we all kind of go through those cycles as well.
Yeah, and a part of the hero's journey that I feel like could be very valuable is understanding your relationship with these astrological influences as not the bearer of anything in your life. My insights and understanding upon these celestial alignments is that is essentially especially your birth chart, who you are, your life purpose number, life path number, whatever. All that stuff is a basic outline blueprint that you could potentially go down. It's not necessarily. One of the big things is we have the distortion of free will. We always have free will. Your astrological reading might say something. That's the energy forecast of what is expected to be your actions, but it's not set in stone whatsoever. You could take a completely different path. You could take some of the path and take another path. Understanding its influence, you can gain valuable insights based upon this information. Be like, oh, maybe that does play a part in that. Maybe that, and take it as useful information, but not attach yourself to it, and certainly not use it as a vehicle of blaming or escaping your own work that you got to do, because you could just shove it off as I'm rash because I'm a Capricorn, I'm stubborn because I'm a Taurus, you know, rather than taking that mentality, using it as like, these are essential insights to guide me along my journey of integrating my development and growing as a being. You know, these information, depending upon how you take them, can be very valuable, can be very useful. And like, one thing that I always see in terms of like beyond astrology, like, you know, philosophies, religions, ever since I was born, you know, I was raised in like a Christian household, but I never identified with Christianity. I never identified with anything, not even atheism, when I didn't believe in God. I saw, you know, now I understand it more, but like what I've always really felt is that there's truth in everything, but there could also be like some bull in everything. You know what I'm saying? There could be like some false truth, some distortion in everything. So like really seeing everything with that mentality. And I'm talking about philosophies, ideologies, religions, astrologies, understandings of knowledge. I'm talking about walking down the street, your sensory perceptions, the people you interact with, your life experiences, everything has something true to teach you, and showing up as a true student of existence, a true student of the universe, walking down the street, that homeless guy asking you for money, the emotion you feel about it, the reaction you have to it.
Whether you're going to pull out your cell phone and film it.
Yeah, straight up. Like,
talked about that on here a couple weeks ago. So
yeah, about like doing a good thing and then just like, look at me, I do good things.
Exactly.
Like,
yeah, and there's so many memes that are like saying don't do that, but the homeless person don't give a damn either way, as long as you do it, whether you film it or. But I think it's cool.
It just depends on whether it's coming from, whether the action isn't what's important from my perspective.
Yeah.
It's the intention behind it. You can do it.
I think the action's important
ego
too.
level, like what the action is. Well,
because I'll say this, because like people are doing the same thing for wickedness. They're filming themselves doing the knockout challenge, walking up to random old people and knocking them out. And they're filming it, and it's catching on. What's the big one right now? The knockout challenge. They got the jump challenge where you get 3 friends in a row, and you lie to the person in the middle and tell them to jump, and everybody jumps. And then when the person in the middle jumps, they sweep their legs out from under them, and they fall back and hit their heads and get knocked out. Have you seen that? Haven't you?
I have not. I don't.
Wow,
really
this is huge right now.
Pages, really.
This is huge right now. It's all over Instagram and TikTok, but they're like, people are dying over this and getting concussions, all kind of stuff. It's pretty bad, but it's it went viral. The generation, they see it, monkey see, monkey do, and people are doing it. So with that same understanding of something like that, wicked, something catching on, let's something good. Let's start a challenge. Hey, bless a homeless person. I was talking about some of these different challenges and videos where these big YouTubers will go take a homeless person, pick them up in their nice vehicle, take them to get a haircut, get them a hotel room for 3 days, take them out to eat, let them buy whatever clothes they want in the mall and dress them up, and takes this dirty person, hair, beards growing out, looking crazy, get them a nice haircut, take them out to eat. Like, let that be the challenge. You know what I'm saying? Get in, and some of them where they're like helping them get jobs and stuff, and they're filming it. And so a lot of us will say, oh, because you filmed it, there's your good deed, and it's done away with because you showed everybody, and there you got credit. That homeless person doesn't care. But I say, like, if people are filming themselves doing all this bad stuff, let's let it catch on. Film yourself doing good stuff, and let's try to outdo one another to make the world a better place. And if you don't film it, nobody knows anyway. So the Bible talks about letting your good deeds like shine before men, so that like everyone, let's outdo each other. We're blessing people. There's preachers out there there's a guy named Todd White. He's a Christian, but when he goes out to eat, when he writes a tip, he'll give them hundreds of dollars on the tip, and he'll film it though. He doesn't show how much he's doing, so it's kind of debatable, but it's enough for the person to break out into tears and freak out and create a moment that he's like, hey, and he not just, oh, hey, we got money. It's like, hey, God loves you so much that he wants to give, and he gave Jesus for you, and this is just an act. It's better to give than to receive. And but we get to see him doing that because somebody filmed it and put it on the internet. You know what I'm saying? So that's the whole thing that I was like trying to catch on with the good deed stuff.
Yeah, no, that's a very good point. Trying to like, let's counteract all of this negative publicity about this, these viral videos, and let's exchange it with its positive equivalent. I definitely feel like, and I feel like that all goes hand in hand with kind of, what we were touching on earlier about intention. Like someone could whip out the camera and do that sweeping thing, and that's just from an ego space. That's from a just a space of being disconnected from source, disconnected from creator at the absolute heart of it. And then someone else who would pull out their camera and give this guy a haircut, money, help him with a job, give him tips, whatever. That's coming from a pure place of heart. That's coming from a pure place within themselves. And that's where I feel like, it definitely plays a huge role. And then on top of that, what you're talking about is let's shine our good deeds. Let's put this stuff out there. That's really just a matter of a byproduct of resonating in your heart frequency with doing this. That's just being an intelligent person trying to capitalize on the technological advancements that we have accessible to us. And that's where I feel like, we could definitely take these types of things to be a viral video, because like, we do have a lot of there's more negativity in the world now than there ever has been, but there's also more positivity now in the world than there ever has been. So you can put these types of things out and they will have more of a chance to go viral and resonate with people because, on either ends of the spectrum, people are more, receptive to it, whether they're even aware of it or not. So, I commend that I definitely agree with that you should, put these videos out and show people these good deeds, and let's make this trending rather than this. But also within that, I also feel like it is essential to have that balance. Just because someone is pulling out their camera and helping a homeless man or whatever, doing a good deed, just because they're doing that on camera doesn't necessarily mean that it is or isn't in an ego space. And that's where I feel like the distinction comes into place. For a lot of these people you've described, it genuinely does seem like they're coming from a heart place. They're just genuinely wanting to spread positivity. But there can be that line where people are using it as like, oh, look at me, I'm a good person because I filmed this. You know what I'm saying? And like having more of the people, because that is a thing that could, which is definitely better than this sweeping thing and all these other things, for sure.
Or just better than not doing it, right? Whether you told everybody. Because even though there's that scripture, that says, let your good deeds shine before men so that they may glorify your Father in heaven. Let everybody know that you're out, you want to change the world, right? Make it popular, that kind of thing. But then there's another scripture that says, don't let your right hand know what your left hand is doing. So when you're helping people, don't give to get. Right? Don't give this person money to get likes, to get
receive anything,
notoriety, to get a pat on the back, say, hey man, that's really good what you did. Like you're going to get it. I feel like that's your alms, like that's your karma, if you will. That like you reap what you sow, so you get, hey, he's a good guy. He got views, he got likes and clicks and subscribers, whatever. That's what you get. I think it's when we're doing those things in the secret, right? When only you and God know about it, right? Nobody else knows, because you can't get a pat on the back. You know what I'm saying? You can't get a attaboy, but God sees it, and that's really where it comes into play. So I think we should do both. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
In the secret and in the public.
Yeah, and when you are giving without the intention of receiving or the initiative of receiving is when you do receive as a natural byproduct. Yeah. And that's what's really the fine line, because it's definitely like a fine line, because like you'll tell someone this, they'll be like, yo, if you give to someone without expecting to receive, you will receive. You see where that could be a mind game for people. They're like, oh, I'm going to try not to receive, but they actually low key are. They wouldn't have done it if they didn't have the intention of receiving. Yeah. If they didn't know that. So it's
a weird dichotomy, because I mean, the universe works in that, the law of compensation and giving to, we don't give to get, but we give. I mean, the scripture is also talking about like being able to reap where you didn't even sow anything, just because you're blessed and because you're a child of God, you know. And so there's understand. I mean, once you understand, like, you know that you're going to get blessed, or it's going to come back to you, whether you do bad or good. Again, you're doing wickedness, you're stealing. Guess what? Somebody, dude, like, in this life, not in the life to come, but in this life, like things that I've done to people, pranks I've pulled on people, like when I've had it done to me, it's stealing from people, and then people steal from me, and I get mad. Like I remember I used to call and like prank radio stations, and they'd answer the phone, and I'd change my voice and be on air, and I'd start cursing on air on like live terrestrial radio, and then I would open up the phone lines, you know, 20, 30 years later on my podcast. Hey, caller, who we got? And then somebody would jump on and start cursing. I'm like, you know what? I see God has a funny way of just showing you, like, you get what you put out, it comes back. So naturally, choose good, choose life, like, do good things, and it's going to come back. You create a space, literally an energetic field, or like, even if it doesn't come back directly to you, maybe it comes back to your children. And this is kind of what we've talked about as well, like coming back to your family tree. Like, do good, do healing, and guess what? It's going to come to you, but the residuals are going to continually come to your children and your children's children. You know what I'm saying? And that's the kind of the stuff that we're doing, man, is like changing the world by one good deed at a time. You know, healing one trauma at a time, one realm of forgiveness, or one level of healing. You know what I'm saying? Healing one, each one reach one, and together we'll change the world. And it's so true, man. And healing ourselves and our family tree and our DNA and our neighbors. You know what I'm saying? And that's what we champion, dude. Just doing the inner work and changing the world, man. And I think that's why we're having this conversation. Spiritual hip hop, spiritual healing, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Anything that you do. I'm doing music, meditations, books, one-on-one sessions, podcasts, speaking engagements, and it's all the same message, just different ways to articulate it. And you're doing it too, and other people are finding new creative ways to bring forth that healing and that positive change, man. So kudos to you and what you're doing, bro. I'm going to try to finish that song. I'm going to try to work on it today, just because we had this conversation, reminded me, and I'll try to get some time to do it today.
If it does.
Yeah. So I think that even this conversation will add to the inspiration for the song, right?
Oh,
so
yeah,
I'm ready to knock it out.
Man,
but
definitely.
For people who don't know who you are, bro, where they can find your music and find your work, you do all kinds of stuff that you bring to the table, man. Go ahead and plug your work and let people know where they can check you out at.
Yeah, appreciate it, because I always be forgetting to do that. So, my name is Pleiiiades. You can find me everywhere on all music streaming platforms, on YouTube and all that stuff under that name. It's Pleiiiades. It's in the title of this video you're watching. Find me on Instagram like that. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Facebook. I'm on YouTube. I'm on all the music streaming platforms. And basically, I create music on all the platforms. I do videos on a YouTube channel called Akashic Knowledge that I'm going to be active on again. But I do have a lot of content already on there. I also make videos almost daily on Instagram and live streams every once in a while and stories and stuff like that, providing a lot of this knowledge. I make clothes encoded with messages like you are the universe experiencing itself, like live in your heart space and everything falls in place. Like actually this shirt I'm wearing right now is that shirt, one I made. And make clothes. I also do one-on-one private sessions as well. I'm working on my Reiki certification so I can do distance Reiki to do energy healing. What else? I always be forgetting stuff. I do a podcast myself as well that I definitely am going to have you on soon. It's called the Akashic Knowledge Podcast. It's on Spotify. Don't have it on iTunes yet. I only have 2 episodes out. I'm doing it pretty much bi-weekly. And that's primarily it. Oh, yeah. And I'm starting a Patreon within this coming month. It's going to be the Pleiadian Ascension Collective, where all of us who are basically progressing along this domain of self-development, spiritual awareness, ascension, growth, all these types of things, to give not only a source of information, step-by-step like guides on, actions that you could take in your daily life to align with this, exclusive music that I won't be posting anywhere else, or music that I will post on all platforms as soon as I make it rather than when I release it. we're going to be doing weekly tune-ins, breath work, exclusive videos on the insides of my creative process, my personal development, all these insights, a lot of exclusive content, all under the same umbrella of ascending together, and also providing the support system so that everyone could tune into the live streams together and get to know each other on an individual basis and build that, you know, that true support for you can build a fan base. You might not know any friends in your immediate physical environment that are on the spiritual path, but we got this beautiful thing called the internet where we all connect like this. So that's a little taste of everything I do. If you want to, you know, definitely one place to find all of it is just go to Pleiiiades.com, Pleiiades.com. Everything is there. My Instagram, the link in the bio, got all individual links as well. And yeah, I'm basically just a vessel for humanity, similar to TruthSeekah right here. So similar it really truly has, yeah, exactly. Reflection of you, quite frankly. You're reflections of one another. And yeah, man. So
the Derricks.
Yeah, man, the Derricks.
We're starting a podcast called The Two Derricks. It's going to be good.
Yo, that's what we should have named this episode. Just the two Derricks. Nothing else.
We should have dressed the
same
too.
Spelled the same and everything, man. Yo, we definitely could have.
For sure, man.
Yeah, because a lot of people be like Derrick. I'm like, nah, man. It's like the baseball player, yo. Like, come on.
Derek Jeter. Yeah. Well, yeah, man. And so yeah, everybody, we've already got a song together. It's on Spotify, and but I spelled your name wrong. I apologize for that. And because I hate people do it to me all the time, and I know it's like you're trying to brand and all that kind of stuff, and then they're like,
yeah, that song is just totally underground for me, and I just like have accepted that. It's a great song though. Check it out on his ESP album. And
oh no,
EP.
There's definitely people who have heard it and who are finding you and trying to find ways to type it. So yeah, make sure you guys check that out. But yeah, people do it to me all the time, and they spell it with two words, truth, and then Seekah. It's 2 words. That messes it up.
Yeah. And also sometimes a lot of the music streaming platforms, they'll automatically make it wrong. You'll type it in right, and then it'll auto-correct it.
Man, I hate that crap.
Trying to get Cruise on a song, we had to contact customer support for weeks. It was a whole thing. So
yeah,
like,
there's
I totally understand stuff like that.
Well, the whole thing with branding, I mean, why you have to brand is like because there's already artists out there and trying to think outside the box. The TruthSeekah, I called it early enough where there wasn't a lot. I was able to brand it the way that I spell it. Now there's other people who come up and use the term whatever, but I've pretty much got the corner on that market. But I got friends. I got a friend of mine. His alias is King James. And yeah, good luck typing his name in trying to find his music. You know what I'm saying? And there's so many other people who like use these names that are just like there's 17 rappers by the same name, and then there's the name of a Bible by the same. You know, so even with that, it's like man, branding is huge. Of trying to figure out. I mean, look at Illuminati Congo and him trying to like getting petitioned for the Illuminati, and people writing him wanting to join the Illuminati, like different stuff, things like that. It's like,
yeah,
what's in a name anyway, right? So
you be getting like, yeah, that's why I just made mine Pleiiades, just like the star system, but with the 3 eyes. There ain't no star system most certainly isn't spelled with the 3 eyes. So if you spell it with the 3 eyes anywhere, if you actually put in a search engine,
does it come up?
It automatically comes up as the star system, but then it says. When you say, it said, did you actually mean this? And you say, yes, I actually meant the 3 eyes. It's not a typo. Then all my stuff comes up. And quite frankly, I'm actually looking into the, like, I'm trying to meet someone who knows about Google enough to understand how I can override that so I can automatically come up.
Yeah, because I'm trying to, so it's Pleiiades?
Yes.
Yeah, see, I don't get anything that comes up, bro. How do you?
Yeah. So
what do you click?
Like this.
Okay. Search for. Oh, I see.
Yeah, it says that it automatically.
It's real little. It says search instead for Pleiiades. Yeah, search for what I type. You bastard.
Exactly. That's literally how I feel about it. So I'm trying to understand
what though?
how
it's
to
like
override
I
that.
think the more whether you need to talk to somebody to override it, and you're doing a good job already. But the more that you brand it, Google learns it.
Yeah.
And
this is true.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. Like Google learned my name, and but then they unlearned it, which was weird. It was when like the fates, like you can type in truth and then with an S, and then my name would come up like as far as the predictive text it would, like, I was one of the top truths. If you type it in truths, eventually my name was Googled so much, TruthSeekah, that it learned that it was a high search volume and things like that, and it would do predictive text. But then they just changed the algorithms like maybe a year ago, and it forgot my name. It forgot my name. Like, if you type in truths, even if you're typing in, keep spelling it, it won't even come up. It's almost like they talk about, like, it was whenever they were talking about the things with the alternative media after the whole Alex Jones stuff happened, and censoring alternative media and putting the Wikipedia stuff under your videos, and if this is a video about UFOs, this is really what UFOs are. Like, they're putting Wikipedia stamps under videos to make sure that you get the right information about whatever the subject is with some of these so-called controversial subjects. And so I guess I got lumped in there with that. I try not to cover too much controversial stuff to get me banned or be controversial. I talk about spirituality, you know what I'm saying? But it definitely, they forgot me, erased me. So that's part of the whole thing with, like, trying to look up my stuff
and new analytics, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I'm trying to Google myself and see if it comes up and stuff like that. But definitely took a toll on plays and streams and finding my official videos. That's why you need to sign up for my email list, people. Go to TruthSeekah.com, sign up for the email list, and when I do a new video, I'll email it to you. You'll get it directly to your inbox. Enjoy it, bro. I'm gonna try to get on that song. I'm gonna get on that song today, man. And we're gonna let the
sounds good, man. Sounds good. I'm gonna hit up Cruz about it. I'm pretty sure he's another person. He always sends his stuff mad fast too. So we got that. The album's basically done, man. I'm really just waiting on features. So I'm definitely excited. Stay tuned. Around mid-April is when you can expect the release of the new album I'm dropping. That's 20 tracks, tunes for Ascension. I got skits in it. It's a whole, basically.
Who are some of the names? Who are some of the features?
So I got, you, Illuminati Congo, Cruz, my boy Sadi. I got my friend Ivan Weston on it. I'm trying to get Lundrell on it. Spectrum's on it. Third Eye Indigo is on it. And I'm still working on a few features, but I'm pretty sure, man, I'm trying to run through it in my head. I probably forgot a few, but those are a lot of the big ones. And also my boy Sadi, of course, from Outliers. And those are some of the main ones. I'm definitely trying to get Lundrell and Spectrum on this one song that's very beautiful. I got my friend doing this whole orchestra-like hook. He's like an opera singer. So he literally just hit every pitch, and like, it's so beautiful, and it's all in their domain, man. So, we're going to have music videos for it. I'm going to have a song actually coming out. I haven't even announced it on my thing yet. 1 month from today, on March 27th, I will have a song called Gratitude with my brother, Brian Divisions, who is another person on the album I forgot to mention. He's going to be on the song. But yeah, definitely stay tuned to my page. I'll post more updates while I have more things confirmed and stuff like that. I'll be able to keep everyone updated with the release of the album. But it was made with pure unconditional love. And I feel like a lot of people will definitely resonate with it and gain a lot of benefits from it, because a lot of people already tell me about what they've gained from my past albums. And this is like quantum leaps ahead of all my past music in terms of the energy behind it, the channeling, the intention, the production, the understanding, the lyrics, all of it. So definitely look out.
It's like it has quantum wings, huh?
Yeah, it feels like it, man. It definitely feels like it. Like, editing it is very surreal. Just
for sure, bro.
Experiencing it.
Anything that's birthed out of unconditional love, dude, I co-sign for it, whatever it is, if that's what it's birthed out of. And when it comes out, you want to do another interview, we'll make it happen again, brother. Thanks for hanging out with me. Enjoyed it. I'm going to knock the song out, and I'm going to promote it when it's done. So we'll make it happen. Thanks again, bro.
Awesome, bro. Much love. It's been an honor and a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me on. I look forward to building in the future with you, yo.
Same, brother.
Have a
peace
blessed
and
one to everyone tuning in. Namaste, Adonai.
Namaste. Peace. Pleiiades with 3 eyes, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you check them out. We did our song. I feel like we did our song Empathy. I think that was the song. I kind of, on the ESP, Clairsentience, I guess. Okay, it was Clairsentience. Is the song that we did together. And yeah, you have to spell his name with 3 eyes, and then tell Google, yes, you really meant that. But yeah, he's on the empathy song.
They always said I had, but I never did.
Gaze at constellations, mind over matter, the secret manifestation. Ascend to higher levels when you pass initiation. Levitation, type of vibes and frequencies.
Feel it, I be it. Feeling delirious, having a Samadhi experience. I know what spirit is, I'm not hearing it. Clear audience, I'm connected to source consciousness. Ominous, dropping knowledge so prominent. Flow faucet with confidence. Vibes are high, call them positive. Source of energy's bottom. Hearing in the different realities when I speak. Seeing every causality like I peek. Off of LSD, stay conscious while I breathe. The knowledge that I've seen was always within me.
The knowledge that I've seen or seek is always within me. That's what it is. Go within, man. Commune with your higher power. Commune with God, man. This is what it's about. Tapping into the spiritual realms to commune with the higher intelligence. You can go directly to God, man. You're with the author and finisher of all of this stuff that we can have a intimate relationship with. That's what it's about. At least that's what it's about for me. What is it about for you? Bringing love into the world, bringing peace into the world through spirituality, through music, through creativity, through meditations, through conversation, right? Have the open conversation. That's what it's about for me. Really enjoyed this episode, man. Make sure you guys check out the song that we did on my album. Check out his work. The brother is really active on Instagram. Make sure you follow his Instagram. He's really active on there. Posts a lot of really cool memes and goes live dropping knowledge. Dude's got a lot of knowledge, especially to be as young as he is. So make sure you check out his work, what he brings to the table. You won't be disappointed. If you're looking for community, you want to interact with me and the community that we have, make sure you join us tonight, Thursday nights at 7 p.m. Central, School of the Mystics. We're going to get it in. It's going to be fun. Join us and hang out. Come and say hello, all of that cool stuff. You can get access by going to my Patreon, patreon.com/TruthSeekah, and get it. Join us. All my music is there too. You can actually download that song when you sign up. You get my whole discography, 200 plus songs by becoming a patron. You get access to download it. Peace, guys. 2 interviews today, back to back. That is about, let's see, we've done about almost 4 hours or so of podcasting straight. This was a good one. The Kirby interview that I did before this was beautiful, awesome. Make sure you take that inspiration with you, man, and create something with it, because it's out of unconditional love. Loving without conditions, loving without restrictions. Think on these things. Peace.
Your way is so much higher than mine, so much higher than mine. Yours so much deeper than mine, so much deeper than mine.
Well, that does it for this episode, folks. To hear more episodes of the TruthSeekah Podcast, head over to TruthSeekah.com. And if you're wanting to support the show and get rewards, go to our Patreon page at patreon.com/TruthSeekah.